Good morning and welcome back to a very overcast Silverstone, about 10 degrees Celsius this morning for the 8th race in the GB4 Championship. Also a very noticeable breeze going down the pit lane, so that could affect things as the drivers take to the track very, very soon. Coming up, we'll learn about the newest face on the grid, but yesterday Nicholas Taylor stormed to a victory, the first race of the weekend here at Silverstone, and here's how he did it.
Well, let's take a look at our highlights then for round number 7 of the GB4 Championship. It was an all-elite motorsports front row, but not a great start from Jack Sherwood. Nicholas Taylor straight up into second position on the run down towards Copse Corner for the first time. Of course, the extended run down towards Maggots, Beckett and Chapel would leave Jack Sherwood under pressure from Megan Gilks, the hill speed car in the background, as they'd run through apex to apex, carrying momentum through the corner. It was Megan Gilks who'd come out on top there. Jack Sherwood from the front row of the grid all the way down to 6th place. As we'd head onto the Hangar Straight though, the snake would move from one side of the circuit to the other. Alex Walker leading from pole position, just trying to keep that number 66 of Nicholas Taylor behind. Jack Sherwood would have to worry about Waberski as Elias Ardeston was attacking Megan Gilks and just trying to keep them at bay, running down into the Stowe corner. Of course, for Chloe Grant coming down into Copse to end the first lap, she'd have a bit of a spin, just avoided by Christian Lester, who ran very far wide over the tarmac runoff, and Chloe Grant would get back going again. Unfortunately, big struggles. The battle that we've been waiting for though for quite some time, Nicholas Taylor and Alex Walker, they would go toe to toe here at Silverstone, and a fantastic battle it was. Alex Walker under a lot of pressure, Nicholas Taylor looking for his first victory since Snetterton in the opening race of the season. Onto the Hamilton straight, Nicholas Taylor to the inside, they'd be side by side up towards Abbey. The 41 of Alex Walker would yield and Nicholas Taylor would hit the front of the grid. It was a fantastic drive from him, and coming round the final couple of corners, this would be a very sweet victory indeed. It's been a while and not even a loose engine cover could slow him down. Nicholas Taylor on top by less than a second from Alex Walker in the opening race here at Silverstone. A fantastic drive for the Fortec team.
Well, we have a new driver on the GB4 grid this weekend, driving for Oldfield Motorsports, Lucas Romanek. You very much know, we've just seen Alex Walker behind, you very much know a lot of the drivers on this grid, racing before in Formula Ford. This is your first race in the GB4 car. First of all, I've got to ask you, what's your impression of this car?
Well, yeah, it's a lot grippier than the Formula Ford, and yeah, it's just, I don't want to say it's a lot more fun, but yeah, it's definitely good for your money, I think.
And how did you come to be part of this team? Obviously, this is not your first drive with the team, it's your first drive in the GB4 car, but you have a little bit of history with this team.
Yeah, Oldfield have been very kind to me. We've worked up a good relationship, and we've been pushing very hard in Formula Ford to trying to get to the top. And yeah, they gave me this opportunity to drive the GB4 car, and yeah, couldn't turn it down.
Jumps at the chance. Now, I know that you've raced, we mentioned Alex Walker there, you've raced against some of the other drivers on the grid here. Who have you got the biggest rivalry with out of, I believe, Tom Mills and Megan Gilks?
I don't really have a rivalry with anyone. I sort of just either get on with them or, just let them do their thing. So, yeah. Drive your own race. Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's your first experience in the GB4 car. Is it your first experience on the GP track here at Silverstone?
Yeah, it is. So, like going through Maggots and Beckett's is an awesome experience. And then obviously Village and all those other corners that we don't do.
Let's take a look at the venue then. We are racing this weekend as we head to Northamptonshire, to one of the most legendary circuits in the United Kingdom. It is of course Silverstone, a fantastic venue for any style of racing. If it can be raced, it will be raced around here. A circuit which opened back in 1948. So much history around here. Of course, one of those circuits that was built for an old-fashioned RAF airfield. The length of 3.6 miles, roughly 5.9 kilometres, with so many twists and turns turns over the 3 sectors. Iconic is a word which would be associated with such a venue. Over the 18 corners, of course, fantastic ones like Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, overtaking opportunities into the likes of Copse and Stowe with their high-speed commitment, and then, of course, that fantastic section that was built back in the early 2010s where you go through farm, into village, into the loop, and of course that entrance into Brooklands, absolutely superb. And now we'll go to Piers for a lap around Silverstone.
And here we are on board with Elite Motorsports' Jack Sherwood for a lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in these GB4 cars. Got a nice tow here from the car ahead, just a bit distant. Again, this is a long run into the first corner, Copse. Not quite flat out in the GB4 car, but very, very high speed nonetheless. Clip that apex on the inside, slight rotation, that's lovely. Kate, make sure you stay within track limits here. Now we've got another long run, 710 metres to Beckett's corner now. Almost flat through the first section. A little kick of oversteer, keep it narrow and left for the exit through Chapel onto the famous Hanger Straight. Looks like we've got an excellent tow here to gain a bit of extra lap time. Dropped a wheel on the grass, that doesn't seem to have hurt our time too much. Now we've got a couple of moments just to take our breath, reset, ready for the second half of the lap as we go over intermediate number 1 and start sector 2. The all-out Stowe corner here. Where you've got to carry a lot of speed, slight wash from the understeer there. Again, just making sure we stay inside the track limits. We now head down to the heavy braking zone of Vale. Second gear we're going to take here. Keep it left, sacrifice the entry speed so we can get the exit through club. Track falls away from us here, mind that curve, can rattle you off the circuit and lose you lap time. We've got a lovely tow through this section now, through the Abbey, Farm and then into Village. Again, over 130 miles an hour through here, completely flat here, just about staying on the circuit. Then we're left through the Farm corner. Spot your braking zone, a very wide expanse here, so quite hard to pick your braking point. If you get it nailed, then a nice late apex through the loop and then into the loop. We're going again sacrifice the entry to have a good traction on the exit. Mind that curve on the exit. Again, a great tow, so that'll be adding lap time. He'll be able to see on his Delta, just dropping down and down as he heads down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands, past the BRDC on our right. Open up the circuit by putting your 2 wheels on the curb. Brake just after the board on the right. A little bit of rotation, making the car work here. Slightly held up there, but we're going to send it in to the final corner of Luffield. V the corner off for a strong exit onto the final part of the circuit through Woodcote, and then that concludes our lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. It's going to be a great racing here, slipstream battles, and we look forward to seeing how Jack Sherwood does in the races.
Now, every race weekend in the GB3 and the GB4 Championship, it all starts with qualification, and if you qualify first, you get an award, which I think is only right. And a man behind the awards involved in GB3 and GB4 is John Cavell, who I've caught up with here in the paddock, just to find out a bit more about why you're involved. And I believe it all goes back to working with the man behind MSV and this championship, Jonathan Palmer.
Yes, in 1981 I met JP and helped him a bit for the second half of the season. He won Formula 3 and I was then lucky to go Formula 2 racing, Formula 1, sports cars and everything through the 80s, yeah. And we stayed friends, yeah.
You've been there and done it for over 40 years. And when it came to sponsoring the Pole Position Awards, it was 10 years ago now, this is the 10th year.
This is the 10th year.
Didn't he insist that you put your name on it?
Yes, he did, and I'd never put my name to any sponsorship I'd done, so I asked him if I could put my father's name because he got me started in motor racing, and he said okay, so that's why it's called Jack Cavell Pole Position.
So in GB3 it's Jack Cavell, but in GB4 it's been obviously a new championship here, and you've got another rather famous driver's name, and it took a bit of getting through people, a bit of red tape I think for people to sign off, but they have, and it's now known as the George Russell Pole Position Award.
Yeah, and I think it's good for the young drivers. George raced with us in 2014, won the championship, the Pole Position Cup, and has gone on to, you know, great things really. So I think it's for young drivers to see that is possible.
Absolutely, and obviously, you know, it's very important in terms of getting the pole position here at a race weekend, with those first 2 races determined, you know, where you start based on your qualification.
Yes, and I've always been intrigued with and excited with qualifying, so I think it is important, and it's important that they get some recognition for that.
Absolutely is, and I think it's very important that you get recognition, John, as well, in your 10th year of supporting the Pole Position Award. John Cavell here in the paddock at Silverstone, and you'll be supporting, I'm sure, for many more years these young drivers as they forge their careers.
Yes, hopefully I will. Yeah.
and I'm here in the assembly area now with the cars just getting ready, having a quick look around here. You can already tell, I mentioned this before, the conditions completely different from that race at the end of yesterday. It was getting a little bit warm towards the end of yesterday. Today, very, very cold, around about 9 or 10 degrees Celsius, very overcast as well. I did notice some wind coming down that start-finish straight, so that could affect some things in terms of overtaking there. We're here, we can see Alex Walker, the championship leader in the Elite Motorsports car here, very, very calm. It's interesting to see the different drivers and what they do just before they obviously start the race here. Sometimes you can be held for a little bit longer if the race before is maybe overrun or there's something going on. So, you know, you really have to stay calm as a driver. I've been chatting to some of the drivers, especially the hill speed drivers, in terms of how they maintain their calmness. And we can see here Max Maserati just looking very, very chilled on the front of the grid here. Very, very cool guy. Nicholas Taylor alongside in the Fortec, of course, winning that race yesterday. And what a great weekend it's for him, winning that first race and then starting on pole in this second race. If you don't know how the qualification works, this grid has been decided by the second fastest lap in qualification. So obviously yesterday was the first fastest, today is the second fastest. So let's have a quick little walk down the grid here. We've got the team from Elite Motorsports there, Eddie Ives, the team principal, looking very serious, probably hoping I don't come and talk to him. I don't think I'll come and talk to you now, Eddie, but maybe another time, I don't know. Here, the South African Jared Waberski, who managed to get home to South Africa, and you might see here his mum actually sent a little gift over, a little South African flip-flop. So I thought I'd represent Jared Waberski, and hopefully if you're watching Jared Waberski's mum, thank you very much for the gift. We can walk down here. Jack Sherwood, some great pace yesterday for Elite Motorsports here. It's good to see that Jack's getting some good times under his belt. A little bit disappointed in the first round at Snetterton, but he's going to be hoping for a good race today as we move down. Now, we just heard from Lucas Romanek, doing very well. The first time he's driving this GB4 car, and the first qualification was obviously yesterday. Did all right in that first race, coming in there sort of midfield, mid-table. Starting here, down the field slightly, but he'll be hoping to make up some places for Oldfield as we go on. As we walk up, it's kind of been a disappointing weekend for Tom Mills. Didn't do so well in that race yesterday. I think Piers and Lewis in the commentary team, they mentioned that maybe Tom Mills might have had some problems in the Kevin Mills racing car because he didn't seem to have much pace, and we saw him get overtaken by Logan Hanna as the race went on, so they'll be hoping for a strong start this morning. Jessica Edgar putting in some good lap times here for Fortec. We spoke with the boss Ollie Dutton yesterday. Very impressed with all of the Fortec drivers. Obviously Nicholas Taylor out in front, and it's good to see that when you have a teammate that's doing so well there, it can spur on the rest of the team to improve their lap times. And obviously with a lot of these drivers coming straight from karting and straight from other series, sometimes the car takes a bit of getting used to, and Nicholas actually is a sort of big success story really, having never driven a proper car around a proper track before, and he's come straight into this, and we've seen his speed and we've seen how well he's done, and obviously winning the very first race at Snetterton and winning the first race here at Silverstone yesterday as well. Then we move to the back of the grid here. We've got Graham Brunton Racing, the two drivers, Logan Hanna from Scotland and Chloe Grant as well, sponsored by Laser Tools here. I think most of the comments we get about the cars, people are saying that they do have the most striking car, a very nice set of merchandise as well. We've got any of the merchandise? Do we have any of the merchandise that we can talk about on the live stream? No, okay, fine. Well, Graham Brunton Racing, if you fancy, getting some merchandise to this car, they do a very nice reversible bucket hat, which they've told me all about. £19.99, something like that. You could probably get it on the website there, but yeah, Chloe Grant there. And then we've got Christian Lester starting at the back there, number 7 for Ross Overd. We can move back down the grid. Let's go and see who we can chat to here. Maybe a slight delay in the proceedings. And we might have to go back to Eddie Ives with Elite Motorsports, who hates talking to me, but I like doorstepping him like this. We can see a Jack Sherwood actually getting a little bit, very important mirror polish there, just on the right-hand side. Something I've noticed actually walking around is that I think every car on the grid, as far as I can see, have replaced 2 tyres. Now, each car gets 6 tyres across the weekend, so obviously that means that one side will be used and one side will be brand new. It seems like the right-hand side tyres are possibly, no, the left-hand side tyres are possibly the ones that most teams have replaced here. A lot of corners on the right-hand side, as Piers just mentioned here. We're just going to watch the cars go out here. You may be able to hear me, but I'd rather you heard the car, to be honest. There we go. And the interesting thing is, now the cars have gone out, if we just pan round here, you'll notice all of the teams incredibly quick to get out of here, and that is because Silverstone there's such a huge walk going from this assembly area here all the way back to where the teams are, and it's it's one of those things where they want to get back because they obviously want to watch the start of the race, so it's kind of like a race in itself, like a pre-race from all the teams getting back here, and well, that's it. Now it kind of looks very, very bare. Anyway, there we go. Right, the cars are going round. They'll be doing the formation lap very, very soon. They'll be lining up on the grid, and I'll hand over to your commentary team of Piers Pryor and Lewis McGlade.
Cheers, John. I mean, again, lovely to see inside some of the teams, some of the cars before we go racing. Very, very interesting on some of those tyre choices. Of course, they have 6 tyres they can use, so it's a set and a half. A lot of them are taking right side tyres. It's not really what we'd expect around Silverstone.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, 6 tyres, so a set and a half basically means that everyone will put 4 new tyres on qualifying, because obviously you have to. And then you've got a choice of when you take the 2 other new tyres. Around Silverstone, with it being a clockwise circuit and a lot of fast right-hand corners, you'd think potentially on the left-hand side, but it looks like the elite motorsport guys, potentially some of the other drivers as well. Kevin Mills have taken the right-hand side tyres.
Fascinating.
I don't know why you would take those tyres. Maybe they think they can get a good exit out of the loop to potentially open up overtaking into Brooklands, or even. To be honest, I don't know why they've taken that side. They obviously have some knowledge that I don't.
But it's clearly there's quite a lot of teams that have taken it. The GBR cars and Christian Lester towards the back here, they've taken left side tyres, which is what we would expect. A lot of the teams higher up, you can see Maserati taking left side tyres as well, but a couple of them taking the right side tyres. Just 10 degrees out there on the racetrack. We were thinking when we were coming out this morning, it was pretty chilly here at Silverstone, counter to how we've had over yesterday.
Yeah, I've got double jumper on at the moment. Yesterday I was just in a shirt, so certainly cold today. You can see overcast skies today. Yesterday evening we had nice heat haze off the circuit, sunshine out.
It's beautiful.
I'm sure there was some sunburn yesterday.
Well, let's take a look at the starting order for the second race here at Silverstone. Nicholas Taylor starts from pole position, his 3rd of the season. Max Maserati alongside on the front row of the grid in his Hill Speed car. Just behind him, though, in 3rd position is his teammate Megan Gilks. Fantastic qualifying on that second fastest lap. Starts from 3rd position. Alex Walker, pole position yesterday, 2nd position on the road. He'll start the race from 4th place. Jared Wilberski starts from 5th. Elias Ardestam in the Ford Tech Motorsports car from 6th position. The Swede, a bit of progress that he'll need to make from that. Jack Sherwood, after starting from the front row of the grid in number 78 Elite Motorsports cars, dropped right down the order. 7th place for this one. And Romanek, once again for the Oldfield Motorsports. His debut weekend in the GB4 Championship starts from 8th. Jessica Edgar and Tom Mills. Issues for the Kevin Mills racing team and Tom Mills. Big struggles this weekend. Hopefully they can get to the bottom of that throughout the running of Sunday's event. And then Logan Hanna and Chloe Grant, the GBR team, taking up a row number 6. And of course, Christian Lester from 13th spot. Pretty tight on the grid, of course, but nice to see Nicholas Taylor on pole position. He needs to nail that start again, exactly what he did yesterday.
Exactly. He's shown this improvements he had in the start. Obviously had a bit of practice from Johnny Edgar, who helped him out with that. Obviously, an inexperienced driver in racing terms, this being his first full season of racing, so he's managed to learn a bit there. And obviously, this is a GB4 Championship, exactly what it's there for. It's to give drivers a chance to learn, chance to improve and develop their skills, and that's a skill, a very important skill going forward if they're going to be moving up the motorsport ladder, is being able to do fast standing starts. So obviously showing that practice has gone to good use. Alex Walker and both the elite boys, actually, they were very, very fast in their overall lap time in qualifying, but their second lap times not quite so good, so maybe they couldn't find the sweet spot, or they found a bit of traffic in qualifying. Again, with this championship, you need to have 2 fastest laps in qualifying to be able to put you at the grid in both of the first and the second race.
Yeah, you've got to be mega consistent. That's where Alex Walker lost out. His second fastest lap, whilst his first fastest lap was great, his second just didn't really have enough meat in it, and losing time, I think it was in the 2nd or 3rd sector if memory serves, just struggling to get the speed late on in the session, whereas the likes of Nicholas Taylor didn't have really too much of a problem, and that's why he started pole position in this.
Yeah, definitely. You can see them all weaving now, trying to get the heat in the tyres. Obviously, with the track temperature being much cooler, the tyres will then be cooler, so they want to get as much heat in, and with those 2 new tyres that most of the drivers are taking in this race, it's very important to get them up to temperature, because the new tyre does take slightly longer to come into its window than a used tyre. We don't want any imbalances, otherwise when you go braking hard, maybe into the Vale section, if those 2 new tyres aren't up to temperature and up to grip, then you might be locking a wheel and potentially causing a mistake there.
It's not going to be an easy race, this one. Like you say, pretty cold. Remember, it was back in the first round of the season before you joined us. It was pretty cold at Snetterton, particularly on the Sunday. And that was when, I'm not trying to throw anything back. Obviously, you can't hear me now, so it's okay. But that's when Nicholas Taylor spun after the two tyre change coming down into Brundle. So got to be a little bit careful of that. It's quite easy with the imbalance of the car, surely.
Absolutely. That imbalance of the tyres can make a difference when you're braking, because you've obviously got one, I say obviously, you'll end up with one side of the grip, one side of your car with more grip than the other, which can imbalance the car and potentially led to that mistake that Nicholas Taylor made at the start of the year. But we can see the amount he's improving. Every race he's getting more consistent. Yeah. He's improved his starts, his racecraft as well. He showed he couldn't come through quite as well as maybe some of the other drivers, and then obviously yesterday and the day before, some excellent moves to take the lead. So he's very much improving. There's the Rosso Verde car at the back there as well. Obviously he's getting himself ready for the race, hopefully to make up some positions.
Wonder what's going to happen. Max Maserati, who was a bit disappointed yesterday after finishing third place. I mean, disappointed finishing third. Good on him. Maybe he's eyeing up a victory starting from the front row of the grid, but he'll have to depose the number 66 on the right-hand side of the shot as we get ourselves ready for round number 8 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Green flags in the air. Let's get ourselves ready for another 18 minutes of fantastic racing here at Silverstone. The number 66 Fortec car on the right-hand side of the shot. We're underway here at Silverstone once again. It's Maserati, of course it is, with a great launch. There's yellow flags in the background and someone still think it might be Ellis Ardestam in the background, but it is indeed as they get going. It might actually be Jessica Edgar, but what a start from Maserati, who's leading now on the run down into turn 1. Alex Walker from 4th place already attacking Nicholas Taylor as they head through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. This time the 41 goes around the outside. Superb stuff from Alex Walker. He's taken 2nd position as we go through Chapel and out onto the Hangar Straight. He's absolutely charging 4th, 3rd, 2nd now, and all the way up into the race lead as we charge our way down. It's 3 wide, left-hand side of shot, Maserati. In the middle is Walker. Taylor on the right as we're 3 wide down into Stowe. Alex Walker hits the front. Maserati's going backwards, and it's once again Walker and Taylor at the front.
A truly excellent move from Alex Walker there in the middle of the Maggots and Beckett's, going around the outside of Nicholas Taylor, managing to put him to the inside of Chapel to then allow him to then, even in the slipstream, then managing to get past Maserati as well. As you mentioned, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and now 1st. But now we have a repeat of yesterday. Can Nicholas Taylor make exactly the same moves as yesterday? No, Walker's wise to it this time.
Oh, but he's got to go around the outside. They're side by side all the way over the place. They're going to stay in position for the race lead. Black and yellow of Alex Walker holding on. There's a bit of side by side as Werberski, I think it was, that was attacking in the grey and blue car, of course, on Megan Jilks. There is Alex Walker defensive again, black and yellow to the left-hand side of the shot. Nicholas Taylor going on the attack, and the Fortec is going around the outside of the loop. This would be a superb move if he can make it stick. It's going to get him off there right, and they've made contact. That rear wheel has been popped off from Alex Walker. Nicholas Taylor, I think, can keep going, but that is a retirement for your championship leader. And look at Tom Mills, the 21. He's coming up onto the podium. It's a hill speed 1-2 for the 2nd time in the championship.
What drama! Alex Walker just squeezing Nicholas Taylor and not giving him any room. Taylor thought, no, I'm staying here, and then normally front wheel to rear wheel contact normally means the front wheel comes off worse, but not on this occasion, and you can see the disappointment. He is going to be absolutely gutted with that, obviously hurting his championship lead. Let's talk us through it.
Like I say, yeah, Nicholas Taylor going around the outside here. He's fully alongside at this point. He's still remaining fully alongside and gets muscled out wide there. How do you feel about that as a racing driver?
I would say that's probably a racing incident, unfortunately. Nicholas Taylor probably, he could have backed out earlier because ultimately he was never going to go through there, but at the same time Walker could definitely have given him space. There was enough of an overlap for them to clash wheels, so he should have allowed more space. Unfortunately, a racing incident and safety car is out to obviously recover that Alex Walker car.
Yeah, and it is the first safety car of the season here, round number 4 of the GB4 Championship. We've only had one. We've not had too many crashes or really incidents in the championship, so to have our first safety car here at Silverstone in the middle race, what a crazy start. For hill speed though, this counts down the clock. This is great for them, running 1 and 2 again.
Maserati will be thinking, oh my god, that is very, very lucky, because obviously he had that not great, he had the excellent start, but then lost the positions going into the Hangar Straight, and we ended up in 4th place. And then with the 2 leaders coming together, Alex Walker and Nicholas Taylor, they obviously that push cost them a lot of time, and now Maserati back where he was at the end of the first corner. This is another point. They're all learning. First safety car of the season. They'll have to make sure that they nail the safety car start to get a good start. If you drop back and lose, it's so easy to lose a second and a half by just being caught napping by the car in front, and that's time that is so hard to get back when you're racing. Whereas if you're right on the car in front, you can use it to your advantage. So let's see how Nicholas Taylor, obviously being in 4th place now, see if he can make advantage of the safety car, and also the guys in front, Maserati, will be looking to make a jump here. I'm sure he's done more safety car starts than potentially some of the drivers behind, so he might use that to his advantage. It'll be interesting to see when they go. Hopefully it will only be under the safety car for a lap now, because that car of Alex Walker on the exit of the loop is not too far off and not too far away from the recovery vehicles.
But look at how much that already, because even they, maybe they don't know right now whether they're going racing this lap, next lap, whatever. So they are already, because it's cold out there, they're already just trying to keep the temperature. It's not like waiting until the end of the safety car period and then thinking, right, okay, we've got half a lap, let's try and get the temperature in. They are working all the way through the safety car period to keep the temperature in the tyre.
Absolutely, you're trying to maintain that temperature. They wouldn't have had long to build the temperature on that first lap. They would have been getting up to optimum temperature and pressure. Looks like Alex Walker's car's already been removed, but they're just trying to maintain that temperature, because if you just roll around at this sort of speed, the air rushing over the tyres, the cold track, they can quite quickly get cold. Brakes as well, you need to maintain the brake temperature, otherwise they get a bit grabby too. As we go, it looks like safety car's coming in this lap.
Certainly is. There you go. Just a single lap for the safety car to get rid of Alex Walker, already weaving massively. Again, though, just saying, that number 21 started from 10th place and in not very long already got its way up into 3rd position. Absolutely superb.
I reckon Maserati could be looking to go early here. He's backed off the safety car quite a long way, and obviously weaving to try and distract Megan Gilks behind. She was very quick in race 1 yesterday, actually, the 4th fast car. And looks like Maserati's gone. Yep.
Yeah, already going into Brooklyn's corner. So we're back underway here. Green flag racing as the 81 of Max Maserati leading from his teammate, looking for his first win in the GB4 Championships. Why he was disappointed yesterday, as we continue the racing action here at Silverstone. Maserati then, Gilks, a Hill Speed 1-2 in the red and white cars. Then it's the Kevin Mills racing car of Tom Mills from 10th all the way up into 3rd. And Taylor, I wonder if there's any damage on that car at all. It was a pretty hefty whack, as Elias Ardestam is working his way back up the order, already past Christian Lester. The stall for him on the grid, that's a bit of a save to come back from the safety car.
Absolutely, safety car would have been exactly what he wanted after that poor start, unfortunately. Here we go. Max Maserati, excellent start, half a second over the line. The amount of effort and speed it takes to make half a second on the road in racing time is so difficult, but to be able to make it straight like that after the safety car is an excellent demonstration of that extra experience he has over the drivers. But look at the slipstream, weaving left, weaving right.
Yeah, massive stuff. Here comes Nicholas Taylor, though, in the background. Watch out for him going around the outside of Tom Mills, the red and white number 66, trying to go around the outside of the blue and grey 21. That move is around the outside. He's already made contact from going around the outside of someone. He has made that position stick. He's now trying to make the move on Megan Gilks already. This is how Luke Browning got past yesterday in the GB3 Championship. That is super stuff. And I'm sorry for Max Maserati, the way that Nicholas Taylor is charging. He is on a mission right now as Alex Walker retires from the race. We go back onto the Hamilton Straight. Jack Sherwood in the lone Elite Motorsports car makes it side by side with Tom Mills, who's going backwards. He's got his teammate to worry about as well as they run through Abbey Corner once again. That was a little bit feisty there. Tom Mills just defending from the number 78, but Nicholas Taylor on the charge.
Nicholas Taylor, 2 cars, 2 corners, both round the outside, showing that he does have that racecraft that maybe he was a bit rusty with at the start of the season.
Yeah, Jarrell Bursky there making the move on Jack Sherwood all the way around the outside. That is exactly the level of space that his teammate needed to give a bit earlier to Nicholas Taylor, because around Aintree they go. The slipstream now goes the way of Jack Sherwood in that grey and black. But look at this from Nicholas Taylor. We'll run up towards turn 1, towards Brooklyn's corner. It's the 66 of Nicholas Taylor trying to get around the outside of Max Maserati, trying to go for back-to-back wins here at Silverstone. He's really wrestling for it right now. I just don't think he's got the measure of Max Maserati, who's well experienced in the championship. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, Maserati with the experience around this circuit. He's driven around here lots of times. He knows where to overtake. He knows where to place the car. Looks like he's coming under attack at the first corner as well.
Oh, Copse corner. This is a brave one to go around the outside, going for the up and under as they head down towards Magnus Chapel. That's a big wide moment there from Maserati. Is this going to allow Nicholas Taylor to come through? Who's going to be side by side with who? Once we get to the apex, he is alongside, but as we get in towards the braking point, he's wide again. Maserati open up the door, and Nicholas Taylor, oh, he's tight. Tom Mills has come through on Megan Gilks. Tom Mills is coming through to the race lead. How does that happen? This is crazy.
Tom Mills again with the start of the race. She showed that obviously at the start of the end of the starts he can make lots and lots of places. He just bided his time excellently there, saw what was going on ahead, cut back, and then exit onto Hanger Straight, and now leads with Nicholas Taylor trying to go around the outside once again.
Superb stuff once again in the GB4 Championship. It is pack racing at its finest. Tom Mills is able to hang along, but how many cars are in in this group, basically for the win. Here comes Nicholas Taylor again. This is how he got past Megan Jilks a bit earlier. Doesn't manage to make that one stick on Tom Mills. As a side-by-side just in the background, the 78 of Jack Sherwood. This car right here, the black and yellow with Jarrell Bursky on the inside. Our debutant in Romanek is also in this group, battling for the race lead as well. Realistically, you've got the two red and white cars here in the middle of the shot, third and fourth, Maserati and Megan Jilk. This is going to chop and change so quickly as Nicholas Taylor once again trying to attack for the race lead. Tom Mills holds the inside and keeps the Fortec car at bay.
Nicholas Taylor tried to do the same thing he did the previous time into Club, where he went around the outside of Vale and then inside to Club. It didn't quite work out. Go on.
Oh, Jarrell Bursky again around the outside. He loves doing that. Like he said, Nicholas Taylor tried that on Alex Walker and didn't make it stick, and now we're going to be three wide. Oh my goodness, watch out as Jack Sherwood. The action is crazy. Nicholas Taylor going for the race lead in the foreground, the 66 to the outside of Tom Mills. Tom Mills throws it beautifully into Brooklyn's corner as a side-by-side in the background. Taylor again to the outside of Luffield. Jarrell Bursky ahead then of Megan Jilks and up into fourth position. Max Maserati in third. There comes Nicholas Taylor up towards Cop's corner. They're side-by-side again as we go through Woodcote to start yet another lap. This is breathless action here at Silverstone. Nicholas Taylor to the outside. Can he take the race lead now? The answer to the question is yes, he's going to be around the outside. He's fully there. He's made it stick. Cop's corner is his, and he's back to the race lead.
That Fortec car at the front of Nicholas Taylor looks like he's got some serious straight line speed. He's making use of that. Maybe a low downforce setting he's got on there, but Tom Mills is showing us an excellent defensive masterclass, and also that slipstream racing. He's obviously racing, he hasn't obviously, but he has raced in Formula Ford 1600 quite a lot, so he's used that slipstream racing and using that experience to good effect. But Nicholas Taylor, too much speed, and it looks like he's already got a bit of a gap.
Yeah, he's breathing. Look at his teammates though, battling in the background. Elias Ardeston getting down the inside. It's Max Maserati pulling out here in defence of Jarrell Bursky. The red and white of Max Maserati, the blue and grey. Oh, a little bit wide there on the corner from Bursky, but he's got to the inside when we get down towards the Vale chicane. He's going to commit onto the brakes. Maserati's going to lose the podium position. It's two Kevin Mills racing cars onto the podium. They're side by side in the background between Jilks and Sherwood. They battled out through Magnus Beckett and Chapel about 3 times yesterday.
There's too many battles going on for us to keep up with. Honestly, this is so good. The racing again in GB4 has been amazing. How many cars did we have the lead about a lap ago? 6, 7, 8, 9? I
think it was. Yeah, absolutely mad. I mean, this train, realistically, it's 10 of them. Back to Elias Ardeston, who will just come through the rear of the shops. It's Jessica Edgar now at the rear end of this 10-car train, as Elias Ardeston was diving it down the inside there to make up yet another position. I think that one was on Logan Hanna, just catching that one. But two Kevin Mills, considering how much they've struggled this weekend, two Kevin Mills racing cars onto the podium at the moment, that would be a fantastic reward for them to sort of alleviate the struggles.
Yeah, they must have found some pace or found something in the car, because they've both got the pace now, although Jarrell Bursky is now having a look at Tom Mills.
Yeah, obviously the orange wing mirrors, that one is Tom Mills in the 21, and then the yellow one, that is Waberski, obviously in these two grey and blue Kevin Mills racing cars. Then you've got the two teammates of the Hill Speed that was running 1 and 2 earlier on this race, Maserati in the red and white 81, directly ahead of his teammate Megan Jilks. Then Jack Sherwood, and then Romanek. Look at the gap that Nicholas Taylor has already pulled. But side by side in the background as Waberski's going around the outside of Tom Mills. That one's already sorted by the time we got to the, I was going to say braking zone, of course, but it's not really a braking zone. It's not quite flat, but not far off.
Yeah, exactly. No braking, I would imagine, in this stage of the race for Cop's corner. Very, very fast open corner, but trying not to run wide again. Track limits is definitely a consideration. You run wide too many times there, and the race stewards will be looking at that, looking at a penalty there. Lot of curb through the chapel for Tom Mills there, trying to push on to his teammate.
I'm pretty sure we'll have, this is going to be quite tight to making it 4 laps to go from this point. I believe it might be 3, with them running around about 2-minute 3-second lap times. We're pretty close though to it running over for that extra lap. I mean, Nicholas Taylor, he's the one that basically decided that based on his pace. I'd say, you know, when you're leading like this, I'd want to lead some more. I'd just keep going.
Absolutely, the place to be is in the lead, especially when you've got the pace of Nicholas Taylor. 2-second gap at the line, helped by the fact that two Kevin Mills grey and blue cars are fighting there, and it looks like Tom Mills just falling off the back of Jarrell Bursky there into the clutches of Max Maserati, the Hill Speed red and white car.
I mean, the racing action that we've had here in this race. To be fair, the GB4 Championship, when we had it at Oldham Park, it was brilliant. Snetterton, it was brilliant. I'm not really bothered. You know, 13 cars, whatever. The racing action we get in this is honestly breathtaking. Tom Mills defending once again from Maserati, obviously having let his teammate go into second position. He's now eyes backwards and pretty much the cork in the bottle as this train just grows. I mean, I think he'll be pretty proud that he led a lap around this race, considering how crazy it was, but he's now got to worry about Maserati, who wants that podium back. The 81 to the left-hand side of shot being Maserati. He's attacking for it. Jack Sherwood was having a little bit of a look in the background. Here comes Maserati around the outside of Brooklyn's corner. He's going to try and make it stick. He's going all the way around. He's got the inside for Luffield though, and the podium position will go back his way. Tom Mills will have to worry about Megan Chilks behind that.
That is an excellent move from Max Maserati, braking nice and late, knowing he doesn't have to make the apex because he's on the outside. He can brake an extra car length or two later, carry that line round the outside, just stayed on the track, which is the most important thing there because you can't overtake off the circuit, but then put him up the inside for Luffield. It seems like that Tom Mills car doesn't quite have the straight line speed of the cars around, especially considering Jared Waberski, his teammate, went around the outside into turn 1.
Yeah, which I mean, like, you know, obviously they're going to have to run the same setup as each other, and as much as there's not too much you can change on setup in these cars, you can make a sizable difference. I just wonder if, again, running a slightly higher downforce package.
It looks like his rear wing's quite flat, so I wonder if he's still slightly struggling with a bit of engine power, unsure yet. Well, I'll let you talk about that.
Sorry, I've just noticed something on the championship standings. Nicholas Taylor winning this race. Guess what's happening on the championship standings?
Has there been a change?
They are locked on the same points going into the next race of the season. That'd be crazy. Let's focus on the action though at hand. Tom Mills just trying to keep Megan Jilks at bay. Jack Sherwood will also be a part of this. We've seen outside moves happening into Vale a couple of times. Jack Sherwood is down the inside going into Vale in the black and yellow number 78. He's made the position up on Megan Jilks. That was kind from Jilks to give the room at least and then kind of back out of it. She kind of left her nose down the inside of the next part, surely.
That is one thing I think I've been very impressed with the GB4 throughout the field, other than the small touch we've had with Walker and Taylor. The rest of the field, the racing's been excellent. Everyone's been giving themselves room. There's been some really, really good moves, but there's not been any unnecessary contact, largely, and people have been giving each other room. They've been throwing good moves at the inside, nothing reckless, which has been excellent to see and shows how that there is racing all the way through the field. We've still got groups all the way down to 10th place, only 6 seconds covering, well, 4 seconds covering 2nd to 10th place.
It's honestly absolute madness. With 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock, we'll see Jack Sherwood try and make it stick around the outside, be the second driver to attempt this. Max Maserati did it on the previous lap. I think Tom Mills might be a bit irritated with that, and that's why he absolutely slammed the door. 2 minutes and 15 seconds. I think we are going on to the penultimate lap of the race here. We're going to have 2 more, which for Tom Mills, he's not going to like that one bit because it's 2 more laps he's got to worry about. These two directly behind him as Jack Sherwood has to worry about Megan Jilks. They're going to go side by side down towards Copse Corner. They're going to go 3 wide because Megan Jilks is trying to go all the way around the outside. This isn't going to work surely, but she's got the straight line speed and she fires it through. Tom Mills has gone straight over on the runoff and Jack Sherwood will surely come through, but Megan Jilks, the straight line speed, you were saying it on the stats yesterday, absolutely insanely fast in the speed traps.
What a move from Megan Jilks outside, around the outside of 2 cars there into Copse Corner in the red and white Hill speed car. But yes, as I mentioned, I was looking through the stats this morning. Megan Jilks, fastest in speed traps 1, 3 and 4 in the race yesterday afternoon.
Amazing. Clearly the car working very well. Elias Hardeston straight over, 2 wheels onto the grass as he marches his way back up the order. The inside of Tom Mills is the order of the day, coming down in towards Stowe, commits on the brakes, rolling it all the way through the slightly off-cambered corner, and now Romanek is on the scene, knocking at the door as he fancies to pass the multiple podium sitter here in the GB4 Championship. I thought the issues for Kevin Mills Racing had been alleviated. I'm not so sure about that now.
Yeah, it seems like Tom Mills in that grey and blue car just doesn't quite have the pace. Even though he's been driving, in my opinion, an excellent race, his defence has been hard but fair, and he's kept cars behind him a couple of corners maybe than I thought that he would have done, but he just seems like he's losing out in the straight line, which then makes him vulnerable at each of the braking points or into those main overtaking points. It's
kind of horrible because, like, what we're seeing someone, like, say, driving the very limit, and I agree with you. I think the race that we've seen so far from Tom Mills has been very impressive, having led a lap in a car that quite clearly isn't so great. Maybe it started out all right and it's kind of lost throughout the race. I don't know what is going on in that car, but he is driving the wheels off of it right now, just trying to keep everyone at bay. Romanek is going to look to the outside. That'd be a brave move on debut. Logan Hanna looking to the inside in the Graham Brunton racing car. It is the old field machine, the number 73, trying to make it stick around the outside, but that one not going to work.
Yeah, looks like Lucas Romanek enjoying his first round in the GB4 Championship, having stepped up with the Old Field Motorsport team in that black car with the orange helmet. He's got a run on Tom Mills now, looking at the outside, which seems to be the order of the day here. And they're going 3 wide, is that nearly? Not quite. Logan Hannah sticking her nose in there.
Yeah, that was a wise move from Logan Hannah to back out of that one. That is the move around the outside from Romanek. Oh, a little bit of a brush, I think, between the two. It might have just been the curb that threw Romanek off just a little bit. Either way, might be a little bit dodgy because he went over track limits to do so, but he has got past Tom Mills.
Yes, that'll be. Stewards will be having a look at that. I think it might be okay because it looked like Tom Mills was just understeering wide into him, maybe didn't give him any room, at which point, obviously, you are allowed, again, not obviously, but you are allowed, I don't know why I keep saying obviously today, but you are allowed to leave the circuit if you are avoiding a collision. So that is the only reason you're allowed to leave the circuit, which is denoted by the white lines or the curves at the edge of the track. So he managed to make that move stick just running off the exit of the track. Great move. You can see that he's got some experience, Lucas Romanek, from previous racing, to have that good move and the confidence to be able to throw it around the outside of that very, very fast corner.
Yeah, I mean, I say bravery. When you're jumping in for the first time into the championship, you've got to make it stick. Again, brave stuff indeed, working his way up the order and out to 7.
Yeah, I think I just saw Jukes run wide at the exit of Club there. I'm not sure if we just caught that in the bottom of the shot. I mean, if we've got a replay, that would be interesting to see. I might have a look at a sector to see if she had a mistake there, but Nicholas Taylor checking out the front, nearly 4.5 seconds at this stage.
Now, again, but everything is very provisional here, and never ever trust a commentator's maths. I say that all the time. But if Nicholas Taylor does navigate the next few corners the way that he does, then I would be expecting him to go on to 188 points. How many points does Alex Walker have? 188. The two of them would be locked on the same amount of points, both having 3 victories in the GB4 Championship, which means we are all square heading into round 9 of the season, which I am all for. Loving how tight that is. Here he comes then out of the final corner. It was a great day for Fortec yesterday. A win in GB4 and a win in GB3. Nicholas Taylor has done it again. Round number 8 in the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, goes the way of Nicholas Taylor. He's finding his form, and on top form it certainly is. Jared Wilberski will come across the line on the podium as well in 2nd place, and then it'll be Max Maserati. Look at the drag race towards the line. Tom Mills just missing out on Logan Hannah there. Super tight. He'll be frustrated. You can see him shaking the head in the car, and I think it was super tight across the line, missing out by less than 1/10 of a second.
That is a very, very close finish, but Jared Wilberski, excellent drive to get that Kevin Mills grey and blue car on the podium, and once again the metronomic podium position driver Max Maserati, another podium. However, that win's still elusive to him.
And he's clapping as well, so he might be a little bit happier with this one. I think regardless, winning or not, that as a racing driver, stressful, but that's surely an enjoyable race when it's just like that.
You love races like that. And again, I think Tom Mills will be a bit disappointed because he was in the thick of it for most of the race but went backwards. But regardless, he'll be disappointed with the result. They'll all have loved those first few laps after the safety car because it was chopping, it was changing. 2, 3 wide, overtaking inside, outside. We saw everything in that race, and also showed how even these cars are and how able you are to fight with the limited aero that we've got.
Not looking forward to doing the highlights from that one because I think there's just going to be too much in there. We'll take a look at the finishing order. Nicholas Taylor then taking his 3rd victory of the season and the 2nd consecutive win here at Silverstone, with Jared Wilberski behind him in 2nd place for another podium after his victory, of course, at Alton Park, and then Mr. Consistency. Max Maserati, his 3rd consecutive podium and his 5th podium in the GB4 Championship. Just ahead of his teammate Megan Jilks, Jack Sherwood in 5th, a joint best place in the GB4 Championship for him. Ardestum, and then Romanek behind in 7th place, was really getting stuck in the racing action this weekend. Logan Hannah, 8th place, just moving up into that 8th position by, as you can see, less than 1/10 of a second ahead of Tom Mills, who drops back into 9th. Jessica Edgar in the 10th position, and then Chloe Grant, Christian Lester, and then of course the retirement from Alex Walker. He'll be very irritated, I'm sure.
He'll be very, very disappointed. It was very unlucky there because they both clashed. Taylor managed to go on to take the win. That could easily have been Taylor out and Walker carried on. It's one of those where you don't know when the cars come together and wheels interlock. It's purely luck as to who's going to finish, or whether you both go off, whether you both carry on. Regardless, either way, I would have said at that point, if you'd have paused the frame just before they made contact, I'd have said Taylor's going off here. Taylor's going to go onto the curb, onto the grass, and that's going to be race over, or even lost some spaces. But no, Walker's suspension just exploded.
I was kind of sat there a bit. As soon as they pushed each other off, I was like, they're both out. I was like, I don't know what's going on. And as soon as we saw like the rear suspension pop off, which is kind of what we saw from Javier Segura back in GB3, of course, in Alton Park when the two made contact, the rear wheel came off. Callum Voisin was actually all right in that instance. Very, very similar in this sense, the front and rear wheel contact. I don't know why it happened, but it happened.
Yeah, I suppose if the front wheel of the car behind then touches the rear wheel of the car in front, but they're interlocked, then that forces the rear wheel up as the touch. So then the tyres will grip, and that forces it up, and that just breaks those suspension components. It's just really unlucky, because also Walker, I think you can feel the pressure that Nicholas Taylor's putting on Walker, because if it was any other driver, Walker would have given him more space. He's been very, very calm and collected, giving people space. We saw at Alton Park, he went back a couple of places, didn't panic, but he thought, maybe I can't let Nicholas Taylor have another race over on me. Yep. And thought, I need to squeeze him out here, I need to stop.
This is what we said yesterday. For Alex Walker, it's not just about the points margin that he's got. It's about the idea that he can't let Nicholas Taylor build the confidence, which is the critical thing there for Nicholas Taylor. He's growing bit by bit. Had the assistance, as we said, from Johnny Edgar and the likes as to how to start properly and consistently. Did lose a little bit out there. Max Maserati had that one absolutely nailed on the start as he would lead down into the first corner. But I think it's about time that we catch up with some of the drivers. John Jackson is standing by.
Well, you can see here Nicholas Taylor being congratulated by his brother Chris, Richard Dutton, the boss of Fortec here. Also, I believe his mum here taking a photo, getting a hug as well. A real family affair. And I will just dive in once he said congratulations to all of his team here. Nicholas Taylor, the new joint championship leader. That was quite a race.
Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty poor start, but it was pretty intense for the first few laps. I mean, I tried to go around the outside of Alex. I felt like I had enough space, but then contact happened, of course. But
I was going to say, in that case, would you say that's a racing incident from your point of view?
I can't really tell. I need to look at the video.
Okay, fair enough. Well, it was a disappointing start. You lost the lead to Max Maserati there, and we had several different leaders in that race, and then you managed to get past Tom Mills, and then you were into the horizon.
Yeah, I knew I had the pace, so I had to get past. I knew Tom had a problem as well, so I wanted to get past as quick as possible. And also, in case I was getting a penalty, I wanted to pull a gap. But yeah, it was a good race.
Okay, well, we'll wait and see about that, but you are the new joint championship leader, Nicholas. Back-to-back wins here at Silverstone, so we'll see you again for that reverse grid race a little bit later on. Nicholas Taylor driving for Fortec there, the new joint championship leader, as I mentioned. Let's find the man who came second. Jared Waberski, quite a good race for you coming up there and managing to get second.
Yeah, no, that was a really good race coming from P5. We struggled initially on the first part of the race, but then we maximised the safety car restart and we positioned ourselves really well there. So yeah, they're really happy to get a second considering yesterday's result. So really happy with the progress we've made with the car, and we can't thank the team enough.
It must be good for you as well to be finishing higher than Tom after Tom Mills, of course, was leading the race for a little bit there, but then ended up dropping back.
Yeah, Tom had a really good start in the beginning. Managed to get past me earlier on in the first start. Then he just ended up struggling a little bit in the end, I think. So once it got past, managed to just get a gap and hold off for second in the end.
Okay, well, Jared, we'll let you go, and thanks to your mum for this little trinket I got sent from South Africa. Max Maserati, you told me that you were going to go into that first corner and you would be first into that first corner. You were first pretty much just after that.
No, I think I did him before the corner.
Okay, all right, like you went into that first corner first, but then it didn't quite go as well for you after that.
No, I don't think I switched the tyres on enough, because that's why we went through Max and Beckett's and I came through the right hander and I just completely understeered, and that's brought everyone right back onto me again. So I kind of felt like the whole race I was just having to defend, and then you end up in that mix, and then it was only after I did Mills did we get the break that I could then really show my true pace, and there was one more lap I think I would have had Jared. It was really annoying, but it was, I think, like the best race of the year. Like the amount of battling that went on there, it was really good. And as well, I made a bet with Richard Randall. If I'm on the podium all 3 races, he has to buy a hat, and one of my mechanics has to get a tattoo.
Right.
So,
okay, so
we've got 2 out of 3. One more to go.
One more to go. Richard Randall, of course, is the man who looks after everything behind the scenes here. So it looks like Richard's buying a hat and someone's getting a tattoo. I'm sure we'll bring you live coverage of that. Max Maserati of the Hill Speed coming third, with your teammate Megan Jilks coming fourth as well. So another good day for Hill Speed. We'll let the drivers get to the podium now, and Lewis McGlade will talk you through it.
I mean, what a mad race. Absolutely crazy. I will say, Max Maserati certainly looked a bit happier this race, counter to how he was yesterday after finishing in third place. Same result, but a very different race. That is one which was super enjoyable. Was chatting to Pierce Price, who's run off to go and chat with John, of course. He's abandoned me. But was saying about how it's very heads up from Nicholas Taylor to think, okay, if I do get a 5-second time penalty, then I'm getting ahead of it by basically running away and setting some incredible pace. It was absolutely on it from Nicholas Taylor, as we'll head up and onto the podium. And again, it'll be a very well-deserved one, a brilliant race from all of the all the drivers. It was honestly, to have that level of side-by-side, that consistency, the battling was absolutely relentless in that race. And Nicholas Taylor, pole position to the race win. I mean, it sounds simple. It sounds so simple. It certainly wasn't. Obviously losing out a little bit on the race start. We'll welcome them onto the podium once again, of course, in third position for the third consecutive race, looking for another podium a bit later on in the afternoon. Of course, it's Max Maserati in second position for his fourth podium. It's Jared Boberski who will take the second position, and then top honours for the third time in the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, the Vortec man. Well, I see like in the Vortec track. Of course, it's Nicholas Taylor on top once again, receiving the trophies. The trophy that he got yesterday, I'm pretty sure will be held quite tightly indeed. This one will be just as sweet. To win a race where it's this level of battling left, right and centre, where it's that relentless, you know you've had to earn it. It's certainly wide open. Genuinely, at parts of that race, I'm pretty sure about 10 different people could have won. Alex Walker will be sat by the side, pretty disappointed to see this as a picture, but either way, he'll have to fight again a bit later on in the afternoon. Photographs taken, and they will be cherished indeed. Nicholas Taylor said he's finding his form, back-to-back victories in the GB4 Championship. What can he do in the next race, considering the pace, considering how far he dropped back in that one, and how much further he had to work his way up the road? I don't really know what isn't possible for this young man. Could we see the three-peat? Could we see the three victories from Nicholas Taylor? Alex Walker wasn't looking 1,000 miles away from it a few weeks ago when we were racing at Alton Park. Nicholas Taylor looks like he's got even more pace now, and to be fair, I think he'll be a hard driver to beat. That said, you know, Alex Walker, I'm sure he'll be pretty determined in the next race, and this is one of those circuits where you can pass at. The idea of those two racing is not a million miles away. We'll head down to John once again.
Won't want to incriminate himself if it does go to the stewards. I'm sure the stewards will have a look at it. They've got a great, they've got the driver steward as well in for the MSV races, so they'll be looking at all the different angles, the onboard cameras which all these cars carry. It's hard to tell because you only saw one camera angle, but from what I saw, it looked like that Alex Walker was just trying to squeeze Nicholas Taylor off the road there, trying to edge him off because obviously Taylor was going around the outside. I think Taylor probably could have given up the position because he wasn't going to hold around the outside, but also Walker did squeeze him. I'd say racing incident, but if you're going to have to apportion blame, I'd say it was probably more on Walker's shoulders, trying to squeeze Taylor that bit too much, but then he was the one that came off worse. I would suggest that there's not going to be any action taken because obviously I think it's one of those things that if you're racing close quarters and then one driver's trying to hold a position, the other one's trying to squeeze the other one, then that's where the incidents come. So I don't think anything's going to come of it. Walker will no doubt be really disappointed with that. Again, he's been in the championship lead. He's been banging in those results, and then obviously his first DNF in this one. So really disappointing for him and Taylor.
Yeah, well, we'll hopefully find Alex Walker there. Obviously, we're just discussing, I'm not sure if viewers heard there, just discussing the sort of incident there between Alex Walker and Nicholas Taylor, which saw Alex Walker go out of the race. Now, let's have a look here if we've got any drivers. It's a long walk. I've mentioned this quite a few times. We've got Megan Jilks' car there, and it looks like Jack Sherwood's car there, but I don't think we've got them. Piers, let's keep walking. We'll see if we can find Alex Walker. Something that struck me as well was Tom Mills. Tom Mills managed to get into the lead of the race, which kind of came from nowhere. And it was very, very brief, and then he slipped right back.
Yeah, we've seen that potentially that car that he's been driving has not been 100%. I don't feel like he's got the straight line speed of some of the other cars. Maybe if we can catch up with him at some point, it would be great to ask him or the team what's going on there. But he showed some great racecraft, placed himself excellently after that safety car restart to be in the prime position to be able to make any moves going forward, and then made advantage of a cutback move that was excellent through the Chaplin, Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel section, which allowed him to then get into the lead, but only very briefly after a good move from everyone else coming forward.
We're having to feed our way through here. We're in the sort of the heart of the garages here, the GB4 garages, which are quite a long way away. So very impressed that Piers managed to keep walking in different directions there. Now let's see if we can find Alex Walker. He's probably going to know that I'm coming for him. Let's have a look there. Piers, do you maybe want to go and see if you can find him and see if you can bring him out? There we go. Yeah, very interesting race there. Probably the most exciting race we've seen so far in the GB4 Championship. Lots of different leaders, which it's kind of rare. We've seen a lot of people leading from pole and hold that lead. Has Piers got him? It looks like he's going to find him there, speaking with Alex Walker's dad, Jeremy. We'll bring you that in just a second. Let's have a look at any other teams here. Jessica Edgar. Let's go and speak to Jessica Edgar in Fortec. We've not spoken to her yet this weekend. It must be good to obviously see your sort of teammate doing so well. Jessica, have you got a moment? We're just live on our TV coverage here. How do you feel that race went for you? It's obviously great to see your teammate doing so well, but you were okay there.
Yeah, it was a good race. I struggled a bit with pace, but I think in the reverse grid, hopefully I can hold my position and get a good result.
And going into that reverse grid race, obviously here in the way the championship works is that the third race of the weekend, everything's reversed, which gives people who are maybe not as quick earlier in the weekend a chance to get those points. What are you hoping for? What do you think you're going to sort of achieve in this race?
I think I'm starting fourth, so hopefully a podium will be good, but we'll see what happens. Well,
we've seen good pace from the Fortec cars, so hopefully we'll see you up there. Jessica Edgar, thank you very much. We'll let you get on. Have we got Alex Walker yet? We've sent Piers on a little mission. Piers, did we get Alex?
I saw Alex briefly. You could see he was bitterly disappointed, and I said, do you want to have a chat on the cameras? He's like, is it all right if we don't do it at the moment? He's obviously just trying to process the race, trying to process the fact that he's had a fight with now his main championship rival and then end up with a DNF, so very much disappointed, and maybe we'll catch him later on, but yeah, bitterly disappointed. You could see the disappointment in his face, and he didn't want to chat to us at the moment, which is completely understandable.
It is. We're going to move down and see if we can find Tom Mills. Obviously we just discussed there that Tom Mills managed to get into the lead and then somehow just lost it. It was a sort of moment of maybe sort of making the most of all the other action that was going on, and very quietly he made his way to the front. We're just you might be able to see here if the camera pans around a little conga of tyres that we have to follow. Get on the back there, Piers, do a bit of dancing maybe. Let's speak to Logan Hanna, because Logan Hanna actually did a drag race with Tom Mills. Shout out to Redline Racing here. Just handily driving through our shot there. Logan, that was a good race for you, P8.
Yeah, much better. We ended up fixing the turbo issue we had yesterday. Then it was just a little bit in setup, and we probably could have been a bit further up had I kept Elias behind me and made the move stick past Lucas, but happy to be where we are, and I think we're starting the front row for race 3. So
is it a Graham Brunton Racing with Laser Tools full front row lockout?
Front row lockout, yeah, for race 3. So make the car as wide as possible. It's a bit difficult here. I don't think I'll be able to break the train, but try and keep those quicker guys behind us for as long as possible. So
even though you're starting on the front of the grid, with your pace, it's more of a defensive masterclass you're going to have to put on.
Yeah, I think I can make it pretty wide. There's no change in tarmac for this one here, so I can't really hang myself out to dry other than being flat everywhere. So we'll take a step back, watch some of the videos, do a debrief, and then go again this afternoon.
Excellent. Best of luck with that. Logan Hanna from Graham Brunton Racing with Laser Tools. We'll catch up with you later on, hopefully, if you make it onto the podium there. Let's see if we can move along to Kevin Mills Racing, and let's see if Tom Mills is available to chat to us. I'm not entirely sure if he will be. He is actually here. He's turned his back on us. Tom Mills, do you want to chat? How you doing? So Tom Mills from Kevin Mills Racing. You started P10. You got to the lead and then you dropped back. It was an eventful race. What sort of went right for you, and then what went wrong for you?
I had a good first lap and a good safety car restart. Got to the lead, but we've had a car issue all weekend. We can't get to the bottom of it. We've changed gear, but we've changed loads. But just really slow in a straight line. It's like really draggy, and as the race goes on, it gets worse and worse. So at the beginning of the race, it wasn't so bad. I got to the lead. Like, this is where I should be, fight with these guys, and they all just drove past me. So.
But Piers was saying on our commentary during the race, some impressive driving from you, and it must be quite frustrating to see your teammate come second and have those issues with your car particularly.
Yeah, it's super frustrating. I'm doing everything I can. I'm trying to drive the best I can, and then get to the lead, and then everyone just sails past me in a straight line. So.
Okay, but we've got the reverse grid race coming up. So what are you hoping for in that?
Well, I don't think I can stay there. If I can't stay in the lead from first, I can't stay in it from third. So, yeah.
Okay, well, best of luck. We'll hope to see you do as best you can with those issues there. Jared Oberski's dad there just going to commiserate with Tom Mills. Piers, we're going to chat a little bit more before the GB3 race in just a second, but was there anyone else in that GB4 race that stood out to you? I mean, Max Maserati, it's hard to ignore him with being a massive character and quite an aggressive and fun driver to watch.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's been driving amazingly, to be honest. He's been consistent, he's been putting in good moves, he's been knowing when to fight and when to push, and also when to maybe think, no, you know what, I need to take stock and just think, no, this is good enough. And it's showing that it's doing well for him. I mean, how many podiums has he had now out of the how many races have we done? 7?
I believe it's 3 or 4.
Yeah, exactly. So he's had 3 or 4 podiums now. Another podium in that last one. Hopefully, he'll have an opportunity in the next one to work his way forwards, as we just see some of the GB3 cars moving behind us here. But yeah, he's been doing a great job, and credit to that Hillspeed team as well, because they've had some really good results for Megan Gilks as well. They were right up there.
Well, I was going to say there, final question for me, having seen that restart and Max very much got away there, could Megan have done more to maybe be a bit more of a team player and keep those cars behind, or was it just a case of there's quite a wide track and the cars, you know, they're going to slip by?
Yeah, I think everyone's in it for themselves, aren't they, really? So as much as they're teammates, they're not going to fire each other off. They're also not going to help each other out that much. Megan will be wanting to go for that win just as much as Max, regardless of Max being ahead at the safety car point. Max did a really good restart. He was weaving, he gave a gap to the safety car to allow himself to go away and choose his moment. He picked it well. Megan Gilks, just a second, just like half a second of a reaction time, which then obviously multiplies as you accelerate into that final corner. So great start from Max Maserati. I'm sure Megan will be slightly more on her toes next time, but yeah, awesome racing throughout, and first safety car of the year as well, which is obviously another thing that the drivers need to think about.
And a very exciting race, probably the most exciting race we've had so far, and it's good to know that, you know, a bit of incident, but everyone is safe. Nicholas Taylor, now the joint championship leader for Fortec, alongside Alex Walker in the Elite Motorsports car. Max Maserati, he's up there as well, a very consistent driver, finishing on many podiums. The last race of the weekend, the GB4 race, will come by later on today. There's a bit of a break, but coming up next, it's the second race of the weekend, the 5th race in the championship for the GB3 cars. Well, after that exciting GB4 race, the races come thick and fast here at Silverstone, and it's the turn of the GB3 Championship next. You can see the Carlin garage behind me. They'll be hoping for a better race than yesterday. P7 was their highest for Roberto Faria, with Javier Sagria not even finishing the race at all. We saw Joel Granfors take his first victory of the championship yesterday, and here's how it went down. The 4th race of the GB3 Championship here at Silverstone.
Let's take a look then at highlights for the 4th round of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Joel Granfors from pole position with lead down into turn 1. It was a great launch from the second row as well, but Max Esserson was under attack in the background. Ferreira made a bit of contact with James Headley running through Copse Corner as they'd all head through Maggots, Beckers and Chappell, the top 3, breaking away from the grouping behind Joel Granfors, Tom Leben and then Luke Browning on the charge. A bit of side-by-side as Brandon Oxley was trying to get around the outside of John Bennett. The contact would just push Brandon Oxley a little bit wide, running out onto the hangar straight. It was Luke Browning though. Watch out for for that 5 car, going for an absolute send down the inside into Stowe. It was a brave move, maybe just put the 34 offline, and that is what would open him up to making a move a bit later on in the lap. It was just a little bit too deep there from the 35 of Tom Leben. Here comes Luke Browning around the outside into the Vale chicane. An absolutely beautiful move, timed to perfection, and then you have to set his sights on Joel Granfors. Matthew Rees, though, a little bit too far wide, beaching on the curb on the exit and then being sent up into the sky. He managed to rejoin. I think he might be in a little bit of pain after that one, though, as Luke Browning would defend from Tom Leben. Second position now, Browning, the 2-time race winner in 2022, would try and hang on for second position. Leben, though, having his mirrors filled by the American of Max Esterson for the Douglas Motorsports team, who was on a bit of a charge this weekend, clearly matching well. Barrier down the inside of James Headley as they run down towards Aintree at the loop. It was a brilliant little attempt for a move, but wouldn't put him offline too much, as at the back of the grid it was Kean Shields that was attacking David Morales. Callum Voisin just trying to keep Matthew Rees at bay, as Max Esterson in the foreground was having a bit of a look in the number 42 Douglas Motorsports car, and Matthew Rees was giving it a good go to try and go around the outside of Callum Voisin in that 53, trying to just make his comeback charge. Wouldn't work on this occasion, but however, it would get another attempt going back onto the Wellington straight, looking into the background. The blue car with the orange highlights, the 31, that one of course, 35, that one is Callum Voisin. The 53 of Matthew Rees going around the outside. The Welshman just trying to get the move done on Callum Voisin all the way around the outside of Brooklands. It would give the inside of Luffield, and a brilliant move it was. You'd have to worry a little bit down into Copse Corner, however, would have the straight line speed advantage just to hold that car at bay, and that was one up for JHR Development. At the front of the grid, though, as much as Luke Browning had closed in on the race lead, Joel Granfors taking his first win of 2022, and an excellent drive as well, from pole position to race victory, or start on pole position in the second race of Silverstone. Whilst that was all going on, though, there was plenty of battles even further down. The two high-tech cars of Bryce Aaron and Kean Shields would battle it out, but it was that battle once again. David Morales and Nick Gilks. Nick Gilks straight down the inside in the number 64 Hill Speed. Another brilliant move. They battled out at Alton Park. They battle out here again at Silverstone. Whether it's at the front, whether it's at the back, it's an excellent battle between these two, and I'm sure we're ready to see more. Nick Gilks coming out on top in this one.
As well as worrying about their racing careers, we've been hearing from a lot of drivers. At the moment, it's exam season, and you know, being 16, 17, 18, you've got some pretty important exams in your life that you have to do. Now, one guy, Alex Connor here with Arden Motorsport, you've had an even sort of trickier time, because you're not only doing exams, you're doing exams in Dubai. And you did an exam, I believe, was it Thursday?
Yes, yeah, I had an exam Thursday morning, and then a flight Thursday evening to get here. Which was, yeah, it was a long day, but yeah, no, I mean, unfortunate to miss testing, but you know, it's school. You gotta do it, don't you? So.
Got to do what you got to do. So for people that are just getting to learn about you, you know, you're based in Dubai.
Yeah. I went to school in Dubai, doing my exams in Dubai, but yeah, no, it's not a bad place to live. But I think, you know, also doing them over here, doing the exams in Dubai and then flying over here, it's quite a challenge, because obviously you miss days where you can be finding out better setups with the team, or, you know, improving your driving, and then you don't have the time to do that when you just have FP1 and FP2 on the Friday.
I've got to ask you, what are you actually studying?
I'm doing, for my A-levels, I'm doing business, geography and physics.
Okay, which exam was it, and how do you think it went, if you had to give it a rating out of 10?
It was geography, and I think I'd give it a solid 8. I think it went pretty decent.
Really? I studied geography A-level and I got a D, so anything better than D, you're better than me.
Yeah, well, I mean, all I need is a pass to get into the university I want to go to, so yeah, I mean, if I don't get past, then I don't know what I'm going to do, so yeah.
I was going to say, going to university, which university are you planning on going to, and how will that affect your motorsports career?
Well, I'm not sure what I'm doing yet, depending on racing and all that, but I'm hopefully wanting to go to Oxford Brookes for motorsport engineering, so yeah, I'm quite interested in that. So, I mean, if the racing doesn't go well, then yeah, that's my backup really.
And it's a lot easier to get from Oxford to the racetracks here in the UK than Dubai, no flights involved.
Yeah, exactly, and yeah, it's a very good university, so yeah, a couple of my friends have gone there already, so, and they liked it, so yeah.
Lovely stuff. Thank you very much, Alex Connor, balancing studies with a racing career.
Let's take a look at the venue then. We are racing this weekend as we head to Northamptonshire, to one of the most legendary circuits in the United Kingdom. It is of course Silverstone, a fantastic venue for any style of racing. If it can be raced, it will be raced around here. A circuit which opened back in 1948. So much history around here. Of course, one of those circuits that was built for an old-fashioned RAF airfield. The length of 3.6 miles, roughly 5.9 kilometres, with so many twists and turns over the three sectors. Iconic is a word which would be associated with such a venue. Over the 18 corners, of course, fantastic ones like Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, overtaking opportunities into the likes of Copse and Stowe with their high-speed commitment, and then, of course, that fantastic section that was built back in the early 2010s where you go through farm, into village, into the loop, and of course that entrance into Brooklands, absolutely superb. And now we'll go to Piers for a lap around Silverstone.
And here we ride with Javier Segura on a flying lap around here at Silverstone Circuit. Completely flat in qualifying to turn 1 at Copse here. Mind the track limits on the exit because they will delete your time. Now coming to the world famous Maggots Beckett section. Keep it left up here on the curve to open up the right to allow the speed through the middle of the Maggots and Beckett section. Keep it left for the exit onto Hanger Straight. Mind the curve because it can unsettle the car. Now we've got a moment down the 780 metre straight towards Copse Corner. Take a couple of deep breaths. Think about how fast we're going to go through the next corner. This is obviously a main overtaking opportunity during the races. So down just 1 gear here, barely rubbing the brakes. Apex speed of 100 miles an hour, 5th gear. Again, watching track limits on the exit because they will penalise for abuse there. Now, at a big braking point of the circuit here, into Vale. Nice and tight on that curve. Keep it left for the exit of Club as the exit drops away. Mind the oversteer, and obviously then past the main wing building. Another overtaking opportunity in the race coming up here. We're going to be completely flat through Abbey and Farm here. 140 miles an hour top speed. Just open the steering to keep the speed through the car and then concentrate on that wide open braking for the village section. Awkward here in the car, can sometimes get a bit of over rotation. Don't need to use all the circuit for the loop. Traction is very, very important here, so making sure we get a great exit. Mind the curb because it can pull you off the circuit there. Now the long run down into the final section, the Brooklands, under the bridge. Keeping it right, you'll notice that he takes 2 wheels on the curb to open up the entry, braking nice and softly just after the board. Watch the rear as we touch the curb slightly off camber here, and then fire it into the final corner at Luffield. Again, traction very important here. Don't run wide, the gravel's right up by the exit, and then the final run to the straight. And that is our lap of Silverstone Circuit. What a lap it is, and a great opportunity to show the speed of these cars.
I'm here in the assembly area. The car's very much ready to go out in just a second, but the result of that first race, Joel Grandfors in the Fortec car here was first on the podium. He was also first in qualifying. He starts P1 again in this race as well. The man behind him starting third today, Luke Browning in the high-tech car. Number 5, the silver car, very striking car there if you're watching this action, looking for someone to follow. The championship leader at the moment. He starts in third. He did come second in that race yesterday. And someone who's impressing here in the Elite Motorsports car is Tom Leben. Tom Leben on the front row of the grid, starting second, coming third in the race yesterday. So he'll be looking to go 1 place higher, maybe 2 places higher if he can. If you're looking out for Tom during the race, you'll notice here the difference he's got from the other 2 Elite Motorsports cars of James Headley and John Bennett is that he has got this very striking, I guess you'd call it violet, maybe purple front nose cone. So he's very easy to spot as you watch the action here. Going back here, Max Esterson in the Douglas Motorsports car, who's just behind Tom Leben, starting P4. The very nice light blue car here. We've not quite seen his potential yet, and I think maybe this could be a race where we could see him, the American driver here, sponsored by a very intense energy drink, as you can see there. So maybe we're going to get, again, a nice intense performance from Max Esterson there. A lot of people with a lot of eyes on Max this season. Not quite worked for him just yet, but this car is looking very quick, so we'll see how he gets on. Working down the grid ever so slightly here, a driver that Piers, your commentator Piers Pryor, told me is a very, very good driver, very, very fast. He's the Sauber Academy driver. It's Roberto Faria here, driving very much for Carlin. And I mean, he's shown that he can get on the podium. He was on the podium at Alton Park a couple of races ago now, but he's not quite managed to keep up there. The consistency isn't quite there for him, so he'll be looking to hopefully get up into the mix to see if he can get a good start from, I believe, P6, if I've got that right, just looking at the cars here. James Headley's in the other Elite Motorsports just behind here. He is Tom Leven's teammate. James Headley, another driver who's going to be looking to get a bit on his teammates, because John Bennett, their teammate, third in the championship going into this weekend. You'll want to be beating your teammates, let's face it. You know, you want to be racing against everyone on the grid, but you know, being the fastest person in that team is a big deal for these drivers. We can walk a bit further here, the Chris Dittman racing car, Mackenzie Creswell. We're going to hear more from Mackenzie as the championship goes on. Haven't quite caught up with him much yet, but another highly rated driver with Chris Dittman Racing, a racing team with a lot of success and a lot of pedigree. So we'll be looking to see more from him and his teammates. And Callum Voisin here, who we haven't quite seen so much from. He's Roberto Faria's teammate for Carlin. Haven't seen everything we want to see from him. A very highly rated driver, quite a quiet guy. We might have seen on the coverage so far, but a very quick driver as well. So as that car sort of gets ready, we can see him there staying nice and calm in the car. Looking at tyres, very important with the tyres here. It looks like some of the drivers, if I look around here, let's have a look. Well, it looks like we've got some new tyres on the the right-hand side of Callum Voisin's car here. It's interesting to see what the drivers do with the tyres here. Javier Segura here, looks like he's got possibly some new tyres on the back there. As you can see, actually, you can see all of the straw here, so you can very easily tell if it's an old tyre or not. Obviously, 2 sets of tyres in GB3, so they are quite limited. A couple of questions that I heard: what happens if it rains? Do they get more tyres? They do get a set of wet tyres as well, so they haven't got 2 sets and they've got to choose between having a set of wets or risking it. You do get a set of wets as well. We can move further up the grid here. Alex Connor, who we heard from earlier, mixing his studies. One of many drivers on the grid actually mixing their studies with racing. It's one of those things that you have to balance when you're the age that some of these drivers are. And he's doing it in Dubai, so it's even tougher for him, doing it in a completely different country. We would move a bit further up the grid here, but I think possibly the cars are nearly ready to go out there. In fact, let's walk a bit further. We can walk a little bit further here. We can see Mikkel Grundvik here, the Danish driver, just having one of the last-minute sort of pep talks here. It's interesting for me to spot in this moment here the different drivers and their different rituals. Some drivers will sit very much on their own. Alex Connor, for example, that we just saw there, very much focused on his own. Some drivers like to have people around. I know Nick Jilks in the hill speed, you know, he's got his sister Megan that we just saw racing in GB4. Their dad's here over from Canada, and they'll be like, you know, probably just having a chat, literally just having a chat about anything. They were talking about donuts last time, and it's amazing to see the sort of different rituals that drivers have before they take to the grid. Let's move back down towards the front of the grid. Just as the cars are getting ready here, we'll see if we can have a chat with someone here. I'm going to come to you live here. Please introduce yourself, and we'll talk about what you do for Matthew.
Yeah, hi, I'm Callan O'Keefe. I'm Matt's driver coach. I run School Ascend. Matt's in his first year at GB3, obviously winning the British F4 Championship last year. Hugely promising talent, only 16 years old, and unfortunately a little bit further back than we'd like today, but hopefully he can make progress in the race.
That's all right though. We've seen him on the podium, I think, at Alton Park. But you're no stranger to these types of cars, not this car in particular, but you raced in this series a few years ago.
Yeah, it feels like a while ago now. I raced this in 2017, I think it was. I raced Formula Renault back in the day when it was actually a championship, all the way up to FIA F3. So yeah, it's kind of now the other side of the fence. It's a little bit different, but now helping drivers go fast and hopefully helping Matthew move forward as the course of the year goes on.
Excellent stuff. We did chat to Matthew after he came on that podium at Alton Park, and he did, you know, he slipped out a naughty word. Do you coach him on how to do media as well? I know it sounds like a stupid question, but it's a serious question, because speaking to the media, speaking to me, is actually part of the job as a racing driver.
I think one of the nice things about Matthew and what we try to do with drivers is we want to make drivers genuine. You know, you want to make them personable. Matt is who he is. A naughty word comes out sometimes when there's a bit of adrenaline. And it's not a bad thing, I don't think, to be fair. So
no, it's all good. We apologise. It's fine. I've got to let you go because the cars are going out now. Thank you very much for chatting to me there. Nice to have a former driver who's got expertise, knows all about these cars, alongside another former driver, Piers Pryor, who we'll be catching up with in just a second, alongside our commentator Lewis McLean. But as we see the GB3 cars go out now, We've got Joel Grandfors starting on pole for Fortec. He'll be looking to make it back-to-back wins for Fortec. Of course, we saw Nicholas Taylor do that in the GB4 Championship. Can Joel Grandfors do that in the GB3 Championship as well? The action is bound to be exciting. Whether or not it'll be as exciting as that GB4 race with everything that went on just there, we'll find out in just a second. So Piers Pryor is your co-commentator and Lewis McGlade is your main commentator for the 5th round of the GB3 Championship here at Silverstone.
Well, cheers, John, again. Again, we love catching up with them. We did notice as well quite a few cars running again. Right side tyres around here, brand new right side tyres. Yeah, you've got Tommy Smith there. You can kind of see by the stickers. You've got Key and Shield back here. We noticed a couple of others a bit further up the grid. There's a couple that they like the right side tyres.
Yeah, it's interesting that, because I would think that you want to take new tyres on the left, unless they're going new tyres on the right of this one and then new left tyres for the race 3. Because obviously they've got the extra. Yeah. Not obviously, they have 2 extra. I keep saying obviously today. You're going to have to catch me on this. They have 2 full sets, so 8 tyres to use between qualifying and the 3 races. They will all take 4 tyres in qualifying because you have to, and then you can use the rest of them however you wish. So they will have all used the full set from qualifying in race 1. Some are taking 2 new now on the right hand side, and then I imagine taking 2 new on the left for the final race to reverse grid to try and get some places up the field. Here we go.
It's getting a bit hotter as well. We're up a whole degree up from the previous race, but you can see there's a lot more heat haze out there. It's looking actually quite nice, if I'm perfectly honest. We're just on the left-hand side of shot, like in the pit lane, but it's looking all right out there now. Yeah,
it's looking much better. It was cold, it was overcast, the GB4 race, which was only about 45 minutes ago now, and it seems like the day's completely changed. Sun shines out. You can see the stickers on the right-hand side of that. Was that Max Esterson? Now the stickers on the right-hand side there, so he's taken 2 new on the right. I believe that we've also got Voisin, Bennett, Tommy Smith, amongst some others that have taken those 2 new on the right. Potentially some drivers waiting for a full new set in race 3 to get the most out of their reverse grid.
Well, let's take a look at the grid then. The first 3 are exactly the same as they were yesterday. Joel Grandfors, after taking the victory, will start again from pole position with Tom Leben alongside in 2nd place for Elite Motorsports. Of course, that Elite Motorsports lockout in the front row in GB4 yesterday. Luke Browning in the high-tech Grand Prix car. We'll see what he can do. He needs to get that start right because pace-wise, he is absolutely on it with Joel Grandfors in the best qualifying session from Max Esterson, who will start from 4th with 2 right-side brand-new tyres. Roberto Faria will start from 5th place with James Headley, one of the fastest drivers in practice coming into this round. Again, we said it yesterday, we were a bit disappointed with 6th place, but still, the result is the result, and we know he can race. It was a great day for Elite Motorsports yesterday, rolling off of 6th place. In 7th, it's Callum Voisin, again, with more fresh right-side tyres, and then one of the most consistent drivers in the championship, Mackenzie Cresswell, one of just 2 drivers who's had top 10s in all 4 of the races that we've had so far for Chris Dittman Racing, just ahead of John Bennett, who's the 2nd driver who's had top 10s in all of those races. Javier Segura alongside after the retirement yesterday will start from 10th. Matthew Rees, who's one of the fastest cars in a straight line around here for the high-tech Grand Prix alongside Alex Connor for the Arden Motorsports team, will start from 12th. In 13th spot, it'll be Mikael Grundvig, race winner, of course, last time out in Alton Park alongside his teammate Zach Taylor in 14th position. 15th behind that will be Bryce Aaron with Tommy Smith. I'm wisely told it's Tommy Smith Sunday. We'll have to wait and see if that does come true a bit later on in the afternoon. Brandon Oxley and Nick Gilks. Again, the great racing between Nick Gilks earlier on in yesterday's race. Massive dive bombs, a great battle between himself and David Morales. We'll have to see if we'll see more of that because, of course, he starts ahead of David Morales. Kean Shield starts in 19th position and David Morales will start from 20th.
Yes, exactly. We saw that Matthew Rees is a bit lower down than he qualified at Alton Park. I just spoke to Callum O'Keefe, who was just shown on the broadcast before, chatting to John, and he said that it was all about the tyre prep and qualifying, which shows how fine line these tyres are. You overheat them or you push a bit too early, which apparently Matthew did. Pushed 1 lap too early on the tyre and it wasn't quite ready, which then burnt them out and meant that his lap time wasn't where he wanted it to be. So it shows that there's a lot more going into setting up a qualifying session in a weekend than just going out there and smashing the lap as fast as you can, as quickly as you can.
Yeah, it's not just going out and just sort of figuring it out bit by bit. How do you learn that, like, to when to get the tyre in the window properly?
It's one of those things that you really need to work with the team. The teams have used this tyre in this championship now for a few seasons. I believe it's the same tyre as it has been the last few years, the Pirelli. I don't know whether they've changed the compound or anything, but we are using the same tyres and wheels in GB4 and GB3. And the way you get them in is quite specific. They take quite a long time to get to temperature because, again, no tyre warmers in GB3 or GB4 to keep the cost down. So all the warmth comes from the brakes and making sure that you're weaving and building the temperature slowly and gradually, but not too slowly. If you heat that tyre up, especially the front left around here and other circuits, you can get graining, which then means that the front tyre skids across the surface, you get it opening up, and then that reduces your grip.
Well, deep breath once again after, honestly, one of the craziest races that we've had in any of our championships. The GB4 Championship earlier on was absolutely superb. The GB3 Championship has a lot to live up for when it comes to comparison to that. We'll see how we go. Round number 5 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, as all of the drivers get into their positions. We'll get underway for the 5th round of the season. As it was yesterday, Yol Grand Fours and Tom Leben on the front row of the grid. The lights are on and we are underway once again at Silverstone, as here we go. Max Esterson with a good launch through the middle. It seems he's going to hold on the 4th position. It was Luke Browning who was trying to attack for 3rd spot. Callum Boysen going around the outside of Mackenzie Cresswell at the back end of the top 10, as they'll all run slightly wide on the run down towards Magnus Beck's Chapel. Yol Grand Fours getting side by side with Tom Leben for Elite Motorsports, and Tom Leben takes the lead of the race as they head into the first real braking zone of the circuit. Luke Browning lost out a little bit there, but you can see he just took a bit too much of the curb as well, coming through Chapel and onto the Hangar Straight.
What a move from Tom Leben into the inside of Maggots. That is a very, very fast corner. Must have got a cut back, and we're 3 wide at the back.
Yeah, it's Matthew Rees coming through the middle. He's got Javier Segura on the left-hand side of the shot. You've got Callum Boysen here going side by side with his teammate in the blue and red, Carlin Carr as well. He's got Faria going around the outside. That was, I think, Brandon Oxley going a little bit wide. Once again, still side by side. Faria, there's a little bit of contact between the teammates again as he just bumps a little bit with Callum Boysen. It was the 7, that white highlighted Carlin Carr, that was making contact with his teammate, and you wouldn't want to see teammate contact again.
Not again. That Carlin, obviously, the Javier Segura and Callum Boysen coming together at Alton Park, but then this time it was Faria and Boysen. A slight touch. They've got away with it this time, but it'll be stressful times for Trevor Carlin and the rest of the Carlin team. Oh, is that Headley going to the inside of Boysen?
Absolute send from Headley just down the inside of Boysen. Nearly sent it on Mackenzie Cresswell, I do believe, as well, as they'll roll their way through. Yeah, he didn't quite get it. Sent a bit of smoke coming off of Mackenzie Cresswell's car.
Yeah, there looks like there's some smoke there. Whether that's a pipe that's come loose or whether it's just burning a bit of excess engine oil will remain to be seen. But we have Tom Leben leading the race.
Yeah, Tommy Smith, speaking of Toms, Tommy Smith was going super aggressive. There was a bit of a move as well in the foreground. That is Tommy Smith getting down the inside of Nick Gilks, rolling through Brooklands corner. There is side by side again, all the way up, as we kind of expect, as it's the opening lap of the race. You've got to try and figure your way around. Tommy Smith going around the outside of Gilks will complete the first lap. It's Tom Leben leading from Grand Fours. Browning, Esterson, Faria inside that 5th position with his Carlin teammate directly behind in Boysen, Headley, Segura, Cresswell and Matthew Rees, who is inside the top 10. As there's the side-by-side, it's Kean Shields trying to go around the outside of Nick Gilks.
Kean Shields getting the cut back there on Gilks through turn 1. Gilks went slightly wide and Kean stopped it early and then drove through the apex and got it. The move done on the exit of the corner to the inside of Maggots. But it looks like Tom Leben will be absolutely loving this in the lead, and he looks like he's pretty settled. They've obviously found a bit in the setup from the previous race. He's holding station with Yol Grand Fours and Luke Browning, who were the class of the field pace-wise in the previous 2 races, as we see Rees defending.
Yeah, a bit of a move just to hold on the Welshman there. Obviously, that's for 10th position. He's got Alex Connor and John Bennett directly behind, just trying to hang on a bit more side by side. As again, Matthew Rees still holding on. Alex Connor was looking one way, looking back the other. He'll try and find a way through the inside through club. It's a bit of a tight line there for Matthew Rees, though, and he's not going to have the best launch onto the Hamilton straight. What does Alex Connor do? As they move one way, move the other, about 8 little jinks there over to the right-hand side of the shot, as Alex Connor will try and make it stick around the outside. It was nowhere near, so he's going to try and get the undercut surely, and then make a move down into Village maybe with a big dive.
Yeah, Village, a very open corner. You can brake nice and late. You've got a lot of space on the inside's overtake, but you don't want to go too deep into Village, otherwise it opens up the loop, just as we saw there from Bryce Aaron.
Big move down the inside, really throwing that in. That was on Mikael Grundvig. There is Alex Connor in the background defending heavily. That'll be from John Bennett, of course, the red and white car over the right-hand side of the shot. That is Bryce Aaron going super defensive. John Bennett in the black and yellow car here, trying to make it stick around the outside. Obviously backs out of it. Obviously still quite new as well to slicks and wings when it comes to this style of racing. The 21 there of Zach Taylor on the inside of Brandon Oxley, who's gone backwards on this grid. And John Bennett trying to get himself back inside the top 10. He'll go side by side with Alex Connor, the black and yellow Elite Motorsports car of John Bennett on the left-hand side of shot. Alex Connor in the 32 Arden car on the outside. That's a position gain. Nice little one there.
Great move. Textbook former single-seater move there. Get a good exit from previous corner, slipstream, tuck up the inside and the exit of the corner, and then slot it up the inside into Cots. Great move. Leben pulling away 7/10 here. He's controlling this race from the front. Again, slightly more difficult to follow as close in GB3 with a bit more aerodynamics, but still being able to overcome that pace advantage that Granfers and Browning have had previously. Did we see that Leben had taken 2 new tyres? Or can we?
Yes, it was. No, it wasn't Tom Leben. No, we saw John Bennett did, but we weren't sure about Leben.
Yes, so I believe, as far as we're aware, but we might be wrong, it was just from the sources that we have, these top 3 drivers haven't taken new tyres as far as I'm aware. The rest of the middle field have, so they're saving their tyres potentially for the reverse grid.
Interesting indeed. We'll have to wait and see if that's a positive move, negative one. I mean, they're running away with it at the moment, the top 3 in a little bit of a class of their own. But we were, you were looking into the stats earlier. Granfors is going to have a bit of a problem getting past Tom Leben here because of the straight line speed.
Yes, Granfors obviously very, very fast in the first race, winning the race. Looked like Browning had a slight pace advantage, a 10th, maybe a 2 a lap, but nothing crazy around this long, nearly a 2-minute lap time. Leben was a bit further off, but Granfors, I was looking at the TSL timing that we get here, which gives you a nice breakdown. His top speed, so the intermediate, just before we set that curve there's a speed trap there. He was slowest of all drivers at that speed trap. Again, no advantage with the slipstream there, but still slowest of all the drivers while setting those fast lap times. Likely means he's running a lot more downforce, or potentially more downforce than the other drivers. You can see that that rear wing is quite deep, but also Browning seems to be running quite a lot of rear wing as well. You can see if someone's running less rear wing, because it looks like the rear wing from the front is skinnier.
And of course, Luke Browning was sort of more middling in the speed traps, kind of just hovering in the middle. Did set the fastest lap of the race yesterday on his charge, back up into second position. Got stuck behind Tom Leben for a little while, but did manage to catch up to the old Granfors. Looking back, you can see them all darting their way through the first corner at Copse, then through Maggots, Beckers and Chapel. Luke Browning does have the fastest lap of the races. We've completed the 3rd lap of running. It is Leben, Granfors and Browning, the podium, with a big gap appearing to Max Esterson. You can really kind of see it here, big visualization. You will see Luke Browning roll through shot, and there is nowhere really quite close. That light blue car of Max Esterson, see, we were there for quite a while and didn't see him.
Browning ran wide there at the exit of Stowe. He ran over the curves. He has to watch how many times he does that. Also a bit of a snap of oversteer, so he's pushing very, very hard to keep on the back. Another snap of oversteer. So Browning is pushing very hard. Those tyres maybe, they're now used, so he's wearing away. But Leben, he's got some pace. The fastest lap of the race, and the last lap was from Browning on a 52.7. Leben only on a 52.8, so less than a 10th off with no slipstream, and seems to be gapping Granfors.
And the thing is, Max Esterson behind, 53, a mid 53 on that, so 53.5 for Max Esterson. But that is a car that we know has right side tyres. Is there something maybe on balance, but getting the tyres in takes a little while when they're brand new, or not?
I would suggest by this stage of the race, lap 4, those new tyres will be in. So it is, as you mentioned a moment ago, the class of the field are those 3 at the front, although Leben seems to be pulling away even more this lap, setting a personal best first sector, although Browning set an overall best first sector. But Leben, he is pulling away, and also I'd like to mention that Leben, he didn't hang on to the back of the previous 2 in the last race, did he? So he's found some pace.
Did get a bit of a lock up there from Javier Segura rolling into Brooklands, which isn't, it's not the heaviest braking zone. You were telling me this yesterday when we were watching the qualifying, looking over Brooklands. It's not the heaviest braking zone, but still it can be enough just to lock up the front left, as there's a defensive move from Javier Segura, and it's Mackenzie Cresswell in the red, yellow and black Christian. Oh yeah, you're absolutely right, front wing is bent on that. What has happened?
He must have touched the back of Javier Segura at some point in that section, because those front wings don't tend to fall off like that on their own, so he must have touched and broken that bolt, which you can see now is meaning it's dragging on the ground, and that means all that downforce that's produced by those winglets and those wings go into the ground rather than into the car, which then produces the front grip. So he'll be struggling with a lot of understeer, and potentially dangerous if that wing falls up and goes underneath the car. I imagine he'll be getting a mechanical flag very soon if he hasn't already received one.
Yeah, one thing you really don't want is the wing to go underneath the car. Matthew Rees going around the outside has got to watch out for the understeer. The thing is though, the question that I was going to ask you, does Mackenzie Cresswell know that his front wing is bent there? He'll know that something's wrong, but I don't think he'll know what it is.
If he's hit the car in front, he will have felt that, because you can feel a little touch in the car. You can feel it through your body. He won't know exactly what damage he has, but he'll be able to feel that, and you can see him running wide at the exit of that corner. As soon as he went through Copse, he would have felt that understeer and think, oh no, that touch must have broken my front wing. It's a demoralising feeling, because you know it's race over at that point.
Did you have that?
I have had that a couple of times, yeah, made a couple of mistakes. I remember at the first round at Alton Park, it's so hard to judge the distance of the front wing away from you, because your feet are about in line with where the front wheels are, and the front wing sticks out about 3 or 4. Nearly contact between the teammates, those red and black and yellow Chris Sipman cars, but your front wing is about probably 3 feet and 3 feet ahead of where your feet are in the car, and you cannot see it. All you can see as a driver is the top of the tub and the tops of the front tyres, and that is it. It's like putting your hand in front of your face and looking over something. It's like peering over a wall almost.
And it's madness that, like, again, they're doing that. I mean, with the spatial awareness that we had, of course, in the previous race, the spatial awareness that we've seen from a lot of the drivers in the GB3 Championship, it's been absolute scenes, to be perfectly honest. But the idea that they still know exactly where it is, the spatial awareness is crazy. Me, as definitely not a driver at any sort of this level, I have no idea how the spatial awareness is like using the force. You just know where it is.
Yeah, exactly. The downforce is a very big part of how these cars achieve that lap time. You can see Cresswell coming in for that front wing change. He's obviously decided that he can't carry on. He'll be looking to try and maybe adjust the setup and get some data to help him for the final race. The fastest lap of the race, this race, was 52.7, set on Browning on lap 3, I believe. 52.7, fastest lap of the weekend. So this is the fastest they have been around this circuit. They've obviously been honing their setup. The conditions are perfect. They've found some speed in maybe the tyres of the setup. So they've all been lapping those front 3, the faster than even in qualifying.
I mean, maybe that comes down to it's a little bit cooler, but obviously it's warmed up a bit since this morning, which, as we all know, there is a fine margin, but a hot track is not exactly a great track. So if you get one that's just right, I don't know what the temperature window is, but I think like track temperature around about between like 20 degrees, around that kind of area.
I'm not sure exactly what the optimal track temperature or anything are for these cars, because it depends on the circuit, it depends on the tarmac. Because Silverstone, we have a nice grippy, smooth tarmac around here, whereas it will be different somewhere like Alton Park with a lot more slower corners, a lot more open, abrasive circuit. But I've just had it confirmed that the front 3 are not on any new tyres, so they are setting these lap times on 1 race old tyres, which is very impressive.
Wow. I mean, we weren't actually, to be fair, we weren't 100% sure as to whether some teams took fresh tyres yesterday for race 1 after qualifying, which did happen at Alton Park a few times. So maybe they're running on the qualifying tyres, which obviously wouldn't have done as many laps, because especially in that sense, if they'd have switched tyres in the qualifying session, which we're kind of talking about, maybe some teams would have, maybe some teams wouldn't have, then maybe that would actually assist it.
Yeah, it looks like actually, I don't believe any of the front 3 took half a set in the first race either, from what I'm looking at, what are the notes I took yesterday. So it seems like they're setting these blistering lap times on tyres that have done a whole qualifying session and the whole of race 1. So they're saving their full new set for race 2. They've obviously realised the front 3, they've got such a pace advantage over the rest of the field. They can still check out and drive away from the rest of the field, and then hopefully have that pace advantage of the new tyre for the reverse grid to make up those places. But the only thing is, they will be starting together at the back of the field.
And the thing is, like the first few that you come on, typically, if you have a bad qualifying and you start at the back, the first that you come through are the easiest ones, right? They're the ones that are slower on pace, that give you the advantage to work your way through. Fair enough, easy peasy. In a reverse grid race like this, no, it's the other way around. The first that you come across are the hardest ones to pass, because they're the ones that are on your pace.
Exactly. So as it stands, if we finish as we are, don't want to jinx anything, but as we stand, it would be Leban behind Granfus, behind Browning. So Browning would be the furthest most of those 3, potentially giving him opportunities. I'll let you talk through this battle at the back.
Yeah, Nick Gilks trying to once again battle with Key and Shields. I had a couple of little scraps in this race. The harder they fight, guess who's closing in? Of course, it's David Morales in that Arden Motorsports car, looking slightly to the inside as they head through Club back onto the Hamilton straight. Nick Gilks just saying that he's learning right now. It's not just about the speed, it's just about learning the racecraft, learning and understanding what is happening behind the wheel of this hill speed. He said he had a good fun yesterday in the battle with David Morales, and I think, to be fair, regardless of where it is, he's going to be having fun in this battle as well.
Yeah, it looks like he's having great fun. Did we see the 2 Carlin cars again going side by side? Farrier on the outside.
Yeah, we'll hope that they don't make contact this time. There's only a little brush between the 2 of them. Of course, that is reference back to the incident between the 35 Callum Voisin here and his teammate with the yellow wings, Javier Segura, back in Alton Park. Then making contact in this race a little bit with his teammate in the form of Farrier. Got to avoid those massively. Callum Voisin, though, has recently got past Farrier, so is up into 5th position. I think this would be a best result of the season, obviously, after a not great round last time out.
Headley with a fast lap. He's gaining on 6th place. Headley's currently that elite black and yellow car on the back of these 2.
Oh, wow, what a move. If he's getting down the inside, it's what we saw earlier on from Tom Leban. That was a proper send. He nearly got there.
Yeah, I love that camber angle, because you can really see how loaded the car's up there. And Ferry went wide and touched that curb, as we saw from the qualifying run there. He touched that curb, which has hurt his pace. Now he's going on the outside.
And I think this might be a bold move from James Headley rather, to make it stick around the outside. I just don't think it's going to be there enough, but he's going to try and prove me wrong. All the way around the outside of Stowe Corner, it is possible, but you're out on the marbles. You're pushed out wide. There's not too much grip there. He's still alongside before they get into the braking zone of the Vale chicane. There's a big lock up on the front left, though, as he pulls it up for the corner. Farrier back round the outside, way too wide, though. They'll go through Club. They'll head onto the Hamilton straight. It's advantage to Headley, but once we get to Abbey, what's going to happen? The Brazilian looks to the inside as we get towards what is the Grand Prix Turn 1. They're side by side. There's going to be a brush between the two. It's a little bit wide there from James Headley, and closing in once again is Javier Segura, who'll look down the inside in the braking zone coming down into Village Corner, and he will make the move on the 67.
That's a great opportunist manoeuvre from Javier Segura there. Saw what was going on ahead, positioned himself excellently. A bit naughty from Headley there, I'd say, just cutting to block him off quite late there, which is potentially dangerous, but Javier Segura saw it coming. But Headley's back on the attack now.
Yeah, we'll see if he can get around the outside again. He likes a good outside move. We saw that at Stowe. We'll see if he can do it. Brooklyn's a little bit squeezed there from Javier Segura, who just keeps him at bay. A little bit too deep, though, you'd have to say, from the Carlin car, the 31 that's leading this battle. And Matthew Rees, one of the fastest cars, as we said before, on a straight line. Watch out for him trying to make some progress here. We've got 2 laps left to go for some of these drivers to hang on right now. I'm looking at JHR development car, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Gap for the race lead coming down.
Yeah, I was just pointing out, gap for the race lead down from 1.3 seconds down to 0.6.
I was just looking if Rees was going to go for that move, but he wasn't quite there alongside. You've got to be brave to do it, especially if you're in a low downforce. You can kind of see there as they're rolling through shot that his rear wing is slightly, not by much, but it is slightly thinner than the other ones running around, because obviously running it a bit more flat, less downforce, less drag, more straight line speed.
Exactly, it's the trade-off between downforce, which obviously gives you, say obviously again, downforce gives you more grip in the corners because it pushes the car into the track, but that is at the cost of drag, which loses you straight line speed. It'll be great for Carlin to have a better race here. Carlin seemed like they're having a good race today. They struggled a little bit in qualifying in the first race, but they're having a bit of a moving forward today. Again, that gap just coming down ever so slightly again at the front, it looks like. Although Lebanon has pulled it a little bit faster in the first sector than Grampus are trying to maintain that gap. Once you get to about half a second, it's very hard to follow. Looks like we've just cut back to the lead at the front.
Yeah, it is Tom Lebanon, the 34, just leading from Joel Gramports. And like you say, Luke Browning, as much as he's got the fastest lap of the race, going a little bit slower now. He's the slowest of the trio at the front. Maybe it's just dropping off from the top two, maybe overdone his tyres.
I was about to say, I think Browning is not quite able to hold on to those front two because he pushed very hard in yesterday's race to try and get onto the back of Granfus, and that might have taken a bit more out of his tyres. Whereas Lebanon was kind of just hanging back. Maybe he was playing the long game, just thinking, you know what, I'll save my tyres, got to use them tomorrow. So maybe he's played the long game and it's coming into his favour because he had third yesterday, first potentially so far in this race, with one more lap remaining after this one. He could then be in a very good position.
And again, the good day continues for Elite Motorsports. They had a top 10 in all three of the cars last round at Silverstone, obviously yesterday. Looking for another race because they've got Lebanon leading, they've got Headley in 8th, they've got John Bennett. Carlin are also looking for the same feat as well. They've got 3 cars on the grid, and between Boys and Farrier and Segura running 5th, 6th and 7th, they're looking to also guarantee themselves more top 10 finishes, which would be great for the team.
Absolutely, it's the consistency of finishing, and especially knowing you've got 2 races where you qualify, so trying to get those consistent laps in qualifying to set you up for the first 2 races, and then just trying to do all you can in race 3, which is a bit more, not going to say chaotic because it's not the word, but
dicey.
It's dicey. We'll go with dicey.
Dicey's a good way of putting it. It's going to be chaotic.
With the slower drivers,
I'm going with chaotic.
With the slower drivers at the front and the fast drivers at the back, but all the drivers well within that 103% margin. So the person who finishes last in this race, Cresswell, assuming he finishes his race, will, if he's classified being 4 laps down, will then start on pole, and then Lebanon, who wins the race, will be, assuming he wins the race, will then start dead last.
It's off of qualifying times though, isn't it? The reverse grid is off of the qualifying times that we did, so the fastest times, and then reverse grid from that. I made that mistake in the first round of GB4. Don't worry, we're all new to this. It's fine. You've not raced in this championship for a while.
Yeah, sorry,
the rules haven't changed on that one.
My mistake. So they will be at the back somewhere.
Oh dear. Well, either way, Lebanon is leading. We're on the final lap of the race, and I'm just not sure if Joel Gramports can do anything about Leben right now, he's so in control. They were looking fast. We were watching the testing times on Thursday and Friday, and even through qualifying. Elite Motorsports, I don't know what it is, but around Silverstone, they are flying, absolutely in control. Tom Leben did the work, started from second on the grid and took over the race lead with a bold move down the inside into Maggots, and he'll depart the final corner and get his just rewards. It's Tom Leben on top here at Silverstone to win round number 5 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Granfors and Browning come across the line in second and third, and Max Esterson, a second, fourth place finish for the American. He's starting to find his feet in the GB3 Championship.
He'll be very happy with that in fourth place for the Douglas team there in the all-blue car with the iRacing's logos on the side. He's obviously done a lot of practice to get the speed up round here, because obviously a change on the last lap.
Javier Segura has lost out, so there is not going to be a 3 Carlin cars inside the top 10. It's Segura who lost out because he was in 7th spot. You can kind of see where Headley's moved up. It's Segura who's dropped all the way down to 11th spot. Not sure what has happened. Obviously, with the retirement yesterday, I don't think it's any, or it couldn't be any mechanical thing, because he managed to reach the checkered flag, but did lose. I'm going to say around 6-7 seconds on the last lap of the race. Not 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened there. Maybe we'll get potentially might have a replay of that, but it looks like he lost space in the last lap. Connor will be happy with that. And now we're off to the results. Lewis, I'll let you talk us through this.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, what a brilliant race it was. Tom Leben, I mean, based on the first round of the season, got that disqualification in the third race back in Alton Park, but this will be making up for that massively. 1.1 seconds, Tom Leben on top for Elite Motorsports. Joel Granfors from second position, dropping down 1 position from pole, and Luke Browning finishing exactly where he started, same as Max Esterson, who was in 4th spot. Callum Voisin for the Carlin car in 5th place, just ahead of his teammate Roberto Faria, who they made a little bit of a brush earlier on in the race, but yeah, all's fair in love and war. I don't think Trevor Carlin would be particularly pleased, but either way, it is what it is for the team. James Headley in 7th, with Matthew Rees working his way up the order bit by bit after starting outside of the top 10. John Bennett, that is a 5th consecutive top 10 finish, the only driver now to do it, with Alex Connor behind, Javier Segura, and then Bryce Aaron, Mikael Grundtvig, with Brandon Oxley, and then Zach Taylor. Tommy Smith, 16th for the 16. Didn't quite get the racing that we were expecting from the Gilks-Morales battle that we've seen continue on. Obviously 17th for Gilks, Kean Shields, who was battling it out with Gilks, in 18th place, and then Morales in 19th, and then Mackenzie Cresswell, the retirement from the race. I don't think he got back out there after the front wing damage. Maybe they just called it off after that point, and so 20th he will be in that race, and a retirement from it. Again, he was the other driver that had continued the top 10 streak, opening the season with 4 consecutive top 10 finishes, and was 5th in the championship coming into this. He'll lose a fair amount of ground, and I'm pretty sure he'll drop out of the 5th place in the championship, because I'm pretty sure he'll drop behind Matthew Rees and Tom Leben. Tom Leben was 7th coming into this, and that will be a pretty healthy charge. Coming into this weekend, obviously after just 1 round, 3 races, 3 rounds at Alton Park over the 1 weekend, as much as we'd seen some very consistent top 10s from the Elite Motorsports team, we hadn't seen a podium from them. Coming into this weekend, though, we've seen a lot more pace from the Elite Motorsports, the Thetford-based team, and that pace is carrying on. Their first podium of 2022, backed up by their first win of 2022 as well, and that'll be a very nice moment for Tom Leben. I think, you know, Joel Granfors, the high downforce, it's a bit of a gamble. You've got to hold on to the lead rolling through the first lap, but unfortunately wasn't able to do so. It was a brilliant move from Tom Leben. Luke Browning sat there, was attacking, did set the fastest lap of the race. I'm just not 100% sure he had the pace to really go and attack. The concern is for this group, if they couldn't battle with each other, what is going to happen in the reverse grid race later on? Because, I mean, Joel Granfors, he's going to start from 20th position later on, courtesy of the reverse grid and having the double pole. And we'll see John Jackson. You can see he's ready to go. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, I'm here with the race winner, Tom Leben. Your first race win in GB3 for Elite Motorsports. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it felt really good, to be honest. Controlled the race quite well, I think. First win for me and the team in GB3, so yeah, I think it's a good result.
And now talk about that move that got you into first place. Obviously, we've got the same 3 drivers on the podium as we had yesterday, but in different orders.
Yeah, the move into Maggots and Beckett, it's quite a good move, to be honest. I got a bit of a run on Joel and just managed to make my way through into the right-hander, and yeah, got the lead from there and controlled it.
And we saw some excellent racing from your teammates as well, so it's a top 10 for all three of the Elite Motorsports drivers, so John and James must be impressed with them as well.
Yeah, it's a good result from the team, going up in the Team's Championship as well as the Drivers' Championship.
Excellent stuff. Well, we'll let you celebrate with the rest of your team who organised themselves in their masses here. Very, very happy Elite Motorsports team. We're just going to move over to your ground force. Not quite the result you were hoping for, starting on pole position, but still, you can't be too displeased with second place.
No, I mean, I think the start was good. We got off the line well and was leading into turn one. And then, as we know, like Luke said yesterday, we're running completely different setups. He is running a lot less swings than anyone else, I think. So he just got a lot of speed and momentum going into Magnus Beckett. So when we came into the right, the Magnus Beckett was already past me. So then I was just trying to stay with him, and he pulled away a bit in the beginning, but then we started catching up, and then I realized it was a bit too late. So yeah.
We noticed all three of you are racing on old tyres. How are the tyres holding up in this second race?
I mean, I think the tyre was all right in the beginning, I think, but then towards the end it of course started to go off more and more, and the last few laps there wasn't much left. So.
But fresh tyres for that reverse grid race later on, so we'll see how many places you can make up the field. Your ground force there with Fortec second place in this 5th round of the GB3 Championship, and we'll go and find Luke Browning, who's just over here. He is the championship leader still, I believe. Luke, on the podium again, but not where you wanted to be.
No, I'm happy with that. That's exactly where I want to be to be honest. Yeah, that's minimised damage from where we started. It was very difficult to overtake and follow around here, and I think I pushed maybe a little bit too early on, and our tyres were worse for wear at the end. But no, that's great. That's damage limitation.
Okay, and we were just talking there with you all about the tyres. You're all racing on the old set of tyres, so you're using all new tyres for this reverse grid race?
No, we scrubbed in quali, so that's up for us to decide when we use quali, and not to tell everyone else. So yeah, we'll have to see what tyres we come out with in race 3, but it'll be the best of what we've got.
Okay, Luke Browning with a cryptic answer there. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Well, that was the same 3 drivers we saw on the podium yesterday in the GB3 Championship, in different orders there, as Tom Levin takes the first race win for him and the first race win for Elite Motorsports. And we'll hand back to Lewis McGlade now as the drivers take to the podium.
Absolutely. See, I was kind of wondering that from Luke Browning and that lot, as to whether they would scrub the tyres in quali to basically get rid of the stickers, to bed them in a little bit. Obviously, that in GB3 they're going fast enough that the stints, the laps later on in qualifying don't really increase your time. Obviously, you still want to be out there battling for them, but if you go straight out in the start of qualifying, just scrub the tyres in, get rid of the stickers, then you're flying under the radar. No one knows when you're taking fresh, brand new tyres, and so you can kind of hide it a little bit, and it was kind of the expectation. Just by the way, Luke Browning will maintain the lead of the championship. It's a 14-point lead that he will have after that 3rd place finish. Joel Granfors in 2nd position in the championship, and Tom Levin, I believe, might move up even as high as 4th, but I'd need to correct that. But again, do not trust the commentator's maths. But the top 2, I'm 99% sure on. I can confirm it was a joint championship lead in GB4, so at least I got that one right. We'll have to wait and see on this one. But Luke Browning, a 4th podium of the season. Joel Granfors as well, his 1st championship here in GB3. It'll be his 3rd podium, and a different spot on the podium for him as well. He's finished in 3rd, he's finished in 1st, and he's finished in 2nd as well. So he's got all 3 steps, as we'll wait to welcome them out onto the podium. And as we were saying about it being a treasured memory for Granfors and for Browning, it's another podium. It's all right. It's good. It's great for their championship. For Tom Levin, it is something very, very different indeed. That is a big, big step for the team, for Elite Motorsports in the GB3 Championship. We welcome Luke Browning onto the podium, somewhere he's getting quite used to after his 4th one in 5 races. Joel Granfors into 2nd place, and then the race winner, and you can hear how popular he is as well, Tom Levin, onto the top step of the podium. Again, that will feel very, very sweet indeed. It is the 4th different winner of the GB3 Championship in 2022 as well, adding to the history books. very proud, I'm sure he'll be. Obviously, all the photographs, that is one that will be framed, I have absolutely no doubt. I said for Luke Browning, and for Luke Browning in particular, he's obviously won a race last year as well when he did the one-off round, and then winning 2 already this season, had a couple of podiums. I'm pretty sure the photograph is just sort of like, yeah, cool, that's all right. I'll move on and I'll focus already on the next race a bit later on in the day. They do go racing again, just to remind you, for the 6th race of the season a bit later on. It is quite late in the day though, of course, around about 5 o'clock. It's about 5 to 5 UK time they go racing for the final race of the GB3 day. GB4 they'll also be running 3:45 is the start of the race, but obviously might move a touch from there. And we've got all of the pre-show as well to deal with, loads of interviews to drivers and such, lots to find out. The calendar as well, of course, we're here in Silverstone. Once we leave Silverstone at the end of this month, we'll be going to Donington Park, which honestly is one of my favourite racetracks to visit. Absolutely superb track to go racing on, one that's always exciting. We will return to Silverstone a bit later on in the year as well, as we get ourselves ready. It's Snetterton after Donington Park, but it's going to be a great season, and if it continues on like this, I'm all for it. We'll have to catch up though with John Jackson, who's back down in the back of the pits.
Yeah, so we're here. We're going to try and find some of the drivers for you now. Piers is just trying to find out from Chris Dittman Racing if we can have a word with Mackenzie Creswell. We saw there the front wing was knocked off and he had to come in, and that really ruined his race. I'm interested. Not available. You mentioned on the commentary there that going back out when you've knocked off the front wing and you're going to be last, you can get data from that, so it's still worth getting back out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really disappointing when that happens because you can't finish you can finish the race, but obviously you've lost a lot of time, you've lost a lot of places, and you're therefore on your own at the back. But every lap in these championships, you're trying to learn, you're trying to gain valuable data. We've still got one more race today, so Mackenzie will have been able to go out with a new front wing and then try and figure out, right, where's the car lacking, where can I improve, where can I make some improvements in the car and my driving. So if he's not too disappointed and not too disgruntled and actually can continue to concentrate and reset, then that's obviously a valuable time.
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot of these drivers have differing amount of times in the car. We're going to walk and talk again, I think, here, so just follow me. There are a lot of people around here as busy race weekend is only heightened by a little bit of sun in the UK, as it's a rare occurrence, especially this early in the year. We'll keep walking here and we'll see who we can find. But in terms of that race, Piers, there was a battle between the Carling cars there. I particularly like the Elite Motorsports. I can't think was it James Headley and Roberto Faria?
Yeah, they were racing really hard. There was a big group in the middle, especially with the 2 Carling cars as well coming together early on in the race. Just a small touch, but some great racing. Some dives in the loop, the new section over there. Also some slipstream battles as well, showing that Silverstone's a great circuit to race at in these cars, and it feels amazing when you do drive around here because you're going so fast. Average speed of the race at race 1 was 115 miles an hour for the whole race, average speed.
And you've got some drivers here, and we're going to hear a little bit later from Cian Shields, who's come from karting straight into a GB3 car. Normally, you'd maybe go to the GB4 Championship, but he's jumped a huge amount. The speeds involved in karting, what's the top speed you'd go in a kart?
75, 80 miles an hour.
He's literally going double the speed. He's got to get used to driving at double the speed.
Absolutely. We're top speed 150 miles an hour around here into the Wellington 148, I think it is, in the GB3 cars, which is really fast. But it's less the actual speed, because as a racing driver, the speed is irrelevant because as long as everyone's going the same pace because we're all in the same cars. It's more the fact that the way you drive the car. Cian coming straight from karting, and as a lot of the drivers have done, it's that transition from karting to cars that is the biggest change. In a kart, you've got not a lot of weight. You're 140, 150 kilos driver and kart, and it moves with the steering. You go straight in. There's no weight to move around. Whereas in a car like this, again, they're still very light. But I think they're 640 kilos or something like that, which you really feel that, and it's got suspension so the car loads up, and the way you have to load it up for the corner, get on the brakes, and then allow the weight transfer to move through the corner and then use that to your advantage is the big thing you need to learn. And it can also, when you lose control, you've got that much more weight that the momentum keeps going, so a slide goes on a lot longer, can scrub the tyres, it scrubs the speed, and also it can then turn you around. So there's a lot to learn, and it is that to get used to. Again, four-wheel brakes as well. Four-wheel brakes in a kart, only rear-wheel brakes in a go-kart.
Yeah, a lot to learn, a big learning curve. I was just going to hopefully get a chat with James Headley. Maybe could you grab James Headley for me? Because Piers was talking about that. You may have seen on the coverage. James Headley battling there with the Carling car. I'll bring both of you in, Piers. James, we were talking about that little battle you had with Roberto Faria. That was a nice little bit of racing.
Yeah, it was good to finally have a bit of racing. Obviously the reverse grids try and help that anyway. But yeah, you know, Alton, there wasn't really any racing, so at least here at Silverstone we actually had a little bit of racing.
Now, team morale must be pretty high after that first win, and obviously you and John Bennett as well getting into the top 10, so that's a pretty good race for Elite Motorsport.
Yeah, it's good progress for us, especially well into 11 for the win. So yeah, it just shows what the car is capable of, and yeah, I just got to. I just think that could be me. I was watching it, I was like, oh no, I just need to qualify a bit better. But we had the pace from practice, just some things didn't go away in quali. But yeah, for sure, if we keep working hard, I reckon it will come soon. So.
And that's the thing. Watching that, me looking at it, thinking, well, hang on, you're seeing your teammate get on the podium in the first race. He's winning the second race. You must really want that to be you. What can you do to make sure that's you next time?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go work on a little bit on myself on the simulator. And yeah, it's just more understanding of the car. The car is so sensitive to track conditions and everything like that. Like, we had the perfect car in practice, but the track changed a little bit, and it was just slightly off, and that's all we needed to at least qualify in the top 2. So yeah, all those things make a little difference, and it's just so frustrating when it's like that tiny thing. But yeah, I'm sure we'll fine tune it for the next one.
Awesome stuff for James Headley. Thank you very much for chatting to me. We'll move on with the reverse grid later, so we'll see you get on in that there. Piers, you're trying to tell me something there. Who have you spotted that we can chat to?
No, I was actually just saying that obviously. I say obviously.
Right, we've got to talk about this just as we wait for more drivers to come back. The word obviously, right? We need to drill that out of you. I mean, I don't know how we can do that, but yeah, sorry, carry on.
Let's just not say it. Anyway.
Yes.
Elite have made definitely a step forward this weekend. They were right in the hunt in the top 10 and around the top 10 at Alton Park, but this weekend in practice, Headley was quite quick in one of the sessions, and they were really up there. All 3 of the drivers in every session, then showed that in quali, and then that's culminated in Elite Motorsport's first win in the GB3 Championship with Lebanon in that last one, and some strong showings from Headley and Bennett as well. So they've made a step forward. I was going to ask him what step forward that was, but I'm sure I'll grab him maybe before the next race or after, and go forward to see if what they've done with the car, whether it's with their driving or any way they approach the weekend or the tyre prep even, because that would be interesting to know, because maybe they won't tell us, but maybe they will.
Yeah, well, Luke Browning in the high tech was very, very cryptic there with his answer in terms of tyres. Let's move on just a little bit and see if we can get someone from Carlin. Maybe Piers, you can use your little. Piers obviously raced against one of the drivers here, Roberto Faria. Have we got any of the drivers here? I think they may be still at scrutineering over here. So let's take a walk. We can walk further. Piers, just while we walk, was there anything else in that race that stood out to you? Any performances? Matthew Rees was looking okay, some good pace from him. We've seen him on the podium before.
I think Callum Voisin actually made a bit of a step forward there. I think he was in the 5th or 6th place. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's shown some great pace in practice, but hasn't been able to convert it in the races so far. But that one, he's showing he's coming forward. Again, we know he's had some good testing before the year, and he's had some experience in the other championships as well, so it's good to see that. And again, Carlin moving forward as well, because they've won the championship pretty much every year that this season is, or every year that they've competed in this championship. So normally they're the team to beat. This year they seem to have taken a bit of a step back with the new cars, so maybe they're still getting the setup to their liking. Maybe the drivers haven't quite found their feet yet, but Faria obviously very quick at the first round, second, and then 14th I believe he was at the first round, and then backing that up with some strong top 10s, but not right at the front at the moment.
No, and he'll be hoping for better now. Let's see if we can have a little bit of a chat with him there. Roberto, can we have a quick chat for the live coverage there? We saw an exciting battle between you and the Elite Motorsports car. That was James Headley. That was some good racing here at Silverstone.
Yeah, we were not really fast. The car was a bit understeer at the beginning. In the beginning I managed to keep them behind, and we were quite a good pace. But then the tires started to go, and then in the middle to the race, my teammate overtook me, and I had to defend from Headley. But yeah, it was a really good fight. We were fighting for many corners, even Megas and backwards, and all the way to Stowe, and then he overtook me around the outside in Stowe. And then, yeah, I managed to overtook him back in the end of the F1 straight. It was really good racing.
In terms of tracks, and how they go, Silverstone is an exciting track for most people. It's obviously a world-famous track, and I'm sure you heard about it growing up before you've come to race here. Is it everything you wanted it to be? Have you found it trickier or easier than you thought it might have been?
No, yeah, I've been here many times now. That's my third year in GB3 here, and we are struggling a bit with the pace. Yeah, but here is always very fun. The wind influences a lot in the track, so each day the wind is in a different position, and you need to find the limit every time. And yeah, it's very fun to drive here.
And finally, your hopes for the reverse grid race. Where are you starting, and where are you hoping to finish?
Yeah, I'm starting down in the back. In the qualifying I did 4th, and then
Best of luck with that reverse grid race. We'll come back and see how that happens a little bit later on. Times, there's a bit of a gap actually, I'll be honest. Let's see, Piers, have you seen any other drivers around that we can maybe chat to? They seem to all be walking off, don't they? There we go. Okay, well let's look at this reverse grid race. Yes. Some of those cars that are starting at the back there, you know, is there any particular driver you think that's going to get to start further up, that's been a bit slower, that might be able to, maybe with some defensive driving, hold on to a top 10 finish?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Silverstone, big wide circuit, lots of opportunities to slipstream. We've seen some great racing, a few more moves and pass maybe than we saw at Alton Park. So that might open up those bonus points that the drivers get for every position they gain, alongside some slightly reduced points for where they finish. So 20 points in the next race for finishing first, as opposed to 35 in race 1 and 2, and then 1 bonus point for every position they make forward. So drivers like Leben, Browning, Granfers, even Esterson, who's had 2 fourth places now, will be looking to make as many places as they can, and it will shake it up because the drivers who are at the front are now the slowest, so it brings the field together, and the drivers at the back are the fastest. Hopefully it'll be a great race. I'm looking forward to it later on. We've got the British GT, the Silverstone 500 coming up, so a bit of a gap and a nice day out in the sun for that, but I'm sure the drivers will be concentrating on their race later on.
Great stuff. I mentioned earlier Max Esterson in the Douglas Motorsport alongside his teammate Tommy Smith. We're going to hear a little bit about Tommy Smith a little bit later on when we come back. The next race on this schedule is the GB4 race. It's the 3rd race of the weekend, the reverse grid race. By the way, apologies if we missed the end of Roberto Faria just there. Looks like we might have dropped out, but he's looking forward to that reverse race grid in the GB3 Championship. That will come after GB4. All you need to know is at GB3 or GB4 websites. You can follow us on social media as well, and be back here at 3:15 for the final race of the weekend for the GB4 Championship as the grid is reversed.